Fucking goddamn YouTube made me have to re-upload this.
Adpocalypse.
Adpocalypse. Can't swear and stuff in the videos.
Fuck!
No. Cunt! Not that we make any money anyway, because this is Red Scott Gaming,
Wait,
the
I'm not being
world's
paid.
most mediocre gaming channel.
Where's my pay?
Oh shit, we haven't. Speak of this behind the scenes. We got a contract lined up. You know, we'll worry about it later.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something a bit different today, because it's Fallout 20th anniversary, which is pretty crazy today, or whenever we upload this video. And so we thought we'd do something a bit different, and we're just having a basic, informal discussion about the whole series, which everybody here is a very big fan of. We got, of course, myself and Sam, and Ben is with us, if you know him from the Fallout Let's Play that we did, 2014, 2015, wherever that was.
If you watch anything other than Xenoverse.
Yes, if you happen to watch any of our other videos which don't have Dragon Ball in the name, in which case you wouldn't be watching this video anyway, so why am I even addressing you people?
We've already firing on all cylinders.
I could just screech at them. They probably recognize the screeching.
Yeah. Give us the legendary Ben scream, Ben.
Unity!
Unity! All right.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ben.
Yeah, this is just basically a recorded version of the same kind of conversation we've had many times before. We're just going to be going through the entire series from its earliest days in Fallout 1 all the way up to that one. But we'll get to that.
Fallout Tactic, no.
I didn't actually ask, have you got anything to drink, Ben? Because I remember the last time we were on a call together.
Yes.
Where drink was involved. Yeah. Dicks came out. No, that's not true. We just played we just played multiplayer Snake all night.
That's actually true.
Oh, fantastic! That just brings back memories.
The last time you and Drink were involved, it was MMO Snake.
What was the other thing we played?
I don't even know.
I can't remember.
I don't know. But it's just, I'm saying, just having us here just brings back memories of those last 3 episodes of Fallout 1, which I know, like, I suppose 95% of the people subscribed to this channel did so through Xenoverse, but I still think the latter parts of the Fallout playthrough are the most fun I've had in any of the content we've produced. Because, yeah, so we're just going to start there, basically, with Fallout 1, which, what was that, 1997? September 1997. Was that, who played that as their first Fallout experience, actually? Did you, Ben, or were you?
I actually didn't. I started with Fallout 2.
Fallout 2. What about you, Sam?
Started with New Vegas.
Really? Fuck, I thought you were 2 as well, actually, and I was 3. But you can see my first time playing Fallout 1, as that was what we were recording on as the video series. So where to begin? Basic story. War never changes. So atomic war of 2077. We all know the backstory to Fallout, unless we don't. And was it about 60 years later? So it's quite early on relative to all the other games. And as will basically be the template for all future games, you start off in a vault, or whatever location, and you're sent out into the wild wasteland to retrieve something, or to find something.
Or
in this
old
case,
man's bed.
or an old man's bed.
Pretty much.
That Mitchell. To retrieve something. In this case, it's a water chip, because Vault 13 is running out of water, because the water chip for the purifier is dead. So, basic simple premise. It's your first time ever leaving this place that you were born in the vault. No one's ever left it since the war, and you have to go out. Although, how the hell did Ed get there? That's a question.
Ed was the first one they sent out, and he didn't have the protection goggles, so his eyes burnt out.
So he got a meter and a half out the door.
Ed's just a pill of coffee.
That's legit his story. So
his eyes got blown out because
his
he
eyes
wasn't
got burned
wearing
out
his
by the sunlight.
sunglasses.
But they're in a cave.
Yeah, but you have to leave the cave, don't you?
So he left the cave,
he left
had
the
his
cave.
eyes burnt out, and then clawed his way back.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's poor Ed. So, that basically
Ed's
sets us off. Of course, Fallout, it's a pretty dreary subject matter, post-apocalypse and all that, but it is, and always has been, a very tongue-in-cheek, comedic game, and the early games are no fucking difference.
Grim dark humor, pretty much.
With Ed. You see Ed. Ed is dead.
Indeed.
So how, like, I don't know about talking about like rankings of games. Maybe we'll leave that till we've gotten all the way through. But
Yeah, probably ideal.
definitely Fallout 1. I find it one of the. It's definitely like the short and sweet of the games. Like it's not got a whole lot of content. It's very much proof of concept almost for the future games.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fallout...
I really like it. It's a kind of game that I could just play, pick up, and almost could actually try and do a playthrough in a day now. And I have a couple times. You know, fuck it, I'm going to play as a sledgehammer wielding and unarmed character, and I'm going to see how far I can get in like a day. Because there's not that much to it.
I mean, the thing is that Fallout 1 itself, I'm pretty sure that it was just more thought of as a prototype rather than an actual game.
Yeah.
But it suddenly had such massive success that they just said, you know what, we're going to make a second one, we're going to make it twice as big.
Yeah, I've always said myself, I've always felt like Fallout 1 was the beta for Fallout 2, almost.
In
Like,
a sense. I mean,
yeah.
it's the same engine.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, here's the first taste of what we can do. More. Okay. And then you get the whole Fallout franchise from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what to go into. I mean, it's classic RPG, basic it's difficult 90s games. You don't get fucking handheld anyway through it. I don't know how. Did anybody? Who was the first person to play it here? I'm guessing it's Ben.
Oh, it's most certainly me.
Most certainly. Did you use when you played it? Internet was obviously a thing by then, but
I had a 56k modem, but yeah.
how did you figure out what the fuck you were doing?
I just didn't. I was like 8 years old and I had like... my brother was 16 at the time, so he kind of helped me out. But otherwise, I played the game pretty much just for the combat. I just like killing shit.
The thing that always sticks out in my memory, like, okay, once I figured out how the game mechanics worked, which I really picked up from playing Fallout 2, which was, I actually completed that before even playing 1. What strikes out in my memory of a what the fuck moment is a later point in the game. You're sent on this quest by the Brotherhood of Steel, of course, a major faction in the Fallout series, power armored, wielding pseudo-knightly nonsense, and so you're sent to that was President Eden. So you're sent to this place called the Glow, which is the blasted to fuck radiated hellhole in like the south east of the map, and there's basically just this big crater you end up at. And I got there, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? The whole time you're getting radiation, and you're slowly dying to death, and you got no idea how the hell you're supposed to get down. Turns out, what you need is a bit of rope, which you had to go all the way back up to like one of the settlements in the far northwest of the game to buy, bring it there, which is okay. That's kind of self-explanatory, but it's the fact that there was a single couple pixels part of this massive crater. You had to actually open up your inventory, click on rope, hover the mouse over this couple sections of pixels, click, and attach the rope there. And I'm just thinking, how the fuck did anyone figure this out?
Steven, in defense of the game, those 3 pixels you're referring to are quite obviously an overarching steel beam.
The whole thing is covered
know,
in
but
steel beams.
It's fairly obvious.
There's a million steel beams, Ben, and there's just one that happens to be lighter in shade.
It's fairly obvious.
I mean, I would have thought, like, okay, I figured out rope. Just click rope on the crater. I didn't realize you had to select the right beam to put it on. That's my point.
Yeah, I guess, but still, I'm looking at a picture right now. It's fairly obvious.
Obviously, when you know where it is now, it's obvious. But
I guess.
But it's not a complaint or a dig. It's just kind of a comment on it's a different kind of gaming to the later games that people are familiar with, where you've got compass marker telling you exactly where to go, which really makes the classic Fallout experience a lot better in my opinion, because like even just finding the water chip in game was an experience. I mean that's the main quest you got. I didn't really know where I was going. I was kind of just guessing my way, going through like the major settlements, kind of loosely being guided by the game's quite, I don't know, I would say it's not so much a narrative. It definitely sort of forces you in a certain direction, but it doesn't. Sorry, force isn't even the right word. It sort of like suggests you go to this direction, but there's nothing really telling you, like in your objectives, you must now go to the hub. You know what I mean?
See,
And it was just when I was in this vault in Necropolis, this ghoul city, and I'm just like casually looking on computers to get loot, and there it is. Wasn't even expecting to find it there.
The thing about this is, to me, is I prefer the old system, for the simple fact that in the newer games, I am very prone to just running after my compass marker and just never checking anything else out. Whereas if you play a game like Fallout 1 and 2, you can't get around seeing other stuff. It just happens.
I'm pretty good at like looking at the environment because I like to look at the vista and everything that's in front of you. But I totally, just sort of making sure the compass marker's sort of in the middle of your, in the middle of the compass there, and just kind of walking in that direction over mountains. I do explore though. I'm like that in every game. I'll check every nook and cranny of a building, and no matter what the game is.
I usually do that kind of stuff on like my second or third playthrough of most games.
Actually, I suppose, not that we're talking about Fallout 3 just now, but my first time playing Fallout 3, you're supposed to go straight to the town of Megaton, which you're compass markered, and it's only like a few meters from the starting position. I didn't find it because I didn't realise you were meant to. I didn't really notice the compass marker, and I went right the way around the opposite side of the map to the far northwest and round, just to go back to where I started. Fuck was my point? Talking about Fallout 1. I've lost it. I don't know. I was talking about something about
brain.
Rest in peace, brain.
Rest in bread.
Yeah, but
brain
what
is
I
dead.
feel like is that the world of Fallout 1, especially Fallout 1, on the first playthrough, it has a lot of mystique to it. Like when the first time you play it, there's a lot of like finding out to be done.
Yeah.
It's like you get to a new place and it's actually vastly different from where you've been before.
Every time you come to a new settlement, your job is kind of to feel your way around and speak to anyone who looks even remotely interesting and pick up all of the quests, and
It's almost like real life.
Yeah, which I suppose it's kind of like that in every Bethesda game and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's a little bit more telegraphed. Actually, I'd say a lot more telegraphed in like modern games.
Yeah, I mean, then again, the models in Fallout 1 and 2 were literally sprites that were indistinguishable from one another.
Yeah, but
So,
like, I don't want to talk too much about the later games just now, but you kind of have to make this comparison to really get across what the original is like. So you start off Fallout 1, and your only quest objective is locate a water chip. And that's 50% of the game is that one objective. The other 50% of the game is stop the mutants. So you have two main objectives, and how you achieve them is up to you to figure out. In Fallout 3, meanwhile, it is exit Vault 101, go to Megaton, find out about Dad, travel to GN. It guides you step by step the whole way. What to do.
You could do the same thing to Fallout 3, where you say you have two main objectives. One is locate Dad, second is stop Enclave.
Yeah, that is the two main objectives in Fallout 3, because like I was saying, all the games have that same formula of the first half is you just leave the vault to find something, and that introduces you to the wider world, and then you become involved in that conflict, which in Fallout 1 is find a water chip. While you're finding the water chip, you begin discovering that there are these mutants that are kind of roaming around the wasteland and doing different things, and your report on that worries the overseer, and he's like, alright, you gotta do something about these mutants, or we're probably all gonna die anyway. So
the key
and that's the same
difference
formula every game.
Yeah, the key difference is that Fallout 3 more or less holds your hand throughout the whole game, whereas Fallout 1 is just sort of it's some bloke. Basically, you pull up the side of the road, you say, "Where's this town?" and he points in like one direction. It's like, oh, okay, and that's fucking helpful.
It's more satisfying because it makes you feel like you've achieved something more, that you figured it out. Or in my case, I just stumbled across the water chip. completely by accident. But whatever, it was still like, what the fuck? In this entire, half of California, I just picked it up. Bloody lucky. But of course, that's what it feels like. But the game, it has been designed cleverly enough that it has been more subtly kind of guiding you from step to step, but not literally objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, and here you go, game's complete.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a matter of taste.
Mm-hmm.
But
so,
also it's a sign of a game being old, I guess. When people didn't really know how to make PC RPGs not seem like tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
So
how do you feel about like setting and story and all that? So we're in California. So like I think it's that southern sort of half of California, because Fallout 2 takes more of the upper half. So you've got Los Angeles, or the Boneyard as it's called these days, as the sort of main city, as well as a bunch of little settlements, Shady Sands, aka future NCR, and all this other stuff.
It's hard to like say the setting is either good or bad, because there's no other setting ever being used in like the same circumstances. Like obviously you got Boston, you got Washington, and you got Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Of course, when it comes to me asking about settings in the future games, we now have things to reference back to. This is, of course, the first game, so it's a bit harder. But
it's like, I definitely like the one thing I love about the setting on the older games is like just how bleak everything is.
Yeah,
everything is just fucked up.
The more obvious decision for a post-apocalyptic game set in America, obviously, you almost think East Coast, the big cities first. Then you think, I don't even know, because obviously the game's very inspired by Mad Max, but that's Australia, isn't it? So, I don't know. I suppose LA, you got Terminator and sort of big sci-fis like that, which I guess it kind of takes a lot of inspiration from, in that sense. But it's definitely, I like the desert, which that part of the world definitely has a lot more of. And it's definitely ingrained that setting in Fallout, which, again, talking about future game, didn't really get as much from Fallout 4 with Boston. I think desert definitely is what Fallout does best.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll have an entire rant prepared for Fallout 4 and the way stuff looks there.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to hold back on that just now, though.
Yeah, I'm holding back.
Well, I much prefer the desert environments of Fallout 1 to like, no offense, but the sort of mushy hills of Fallout 3. I don't know what you'd describe that environment as, really.
Mushy hills?
I just feel like the desertness of the surroundings actually strongly reinforces the point of post-apocalypse. It just feels like it's difficult to survive.
Mm-hmm. And especially the scale, because compared to the future games, which are obviously they're very different, and they're technically impressive because they have built the whole map. With the original 2 games, it's procedurally generated, except for a few city locations dotted around, and everywhere else it's just like desert or whatever you might encounter when you're traveling. But it's so much bigger because it is half a state you're walking across, and it does give this sort of, even a grander, more epic scale to your adventure, even if it's, a fairly simple,
it feels
just find
like
the water ship.
It feels more like you're actually traveling than just strolling through the city. Yeah.
I forgot to even mention companions, of course. Speaking of travelling.
The companions are the
even
weirdest
better once you get that.
The companions are like... The companions in Fallout 1, I'd argue, are completely different from any of them in any game, just because...
Hello, I am your friendly neighborhood companion.
Hello,
Ian.
I am Ian. I am a white man with long hair. And
hey, I could come with you for 100 caps.
How about no?
How about none? You got yourself a deal. Let's go. Yeah,
Ian,
when we were talking about the game really seeming like a beta to future games, that was the perfect example.
The
because
Q&A
Ian is the first companion you can potentially recruit in the first settlement you come across. He's totally there just as a proof of concept for companions in the game.
It almost felt like they made him and they were like, nope, I'm not going to change him anymore. I've finally got this code working. Just leave him in there.
Fucking leave him in.
Actually, do you think that people would have looked for more companions if Ian wasn't around?
I don't know. It depends how much you investigate, how many people you actually speak to. If you're good at like pointing out interesting looking NPCs and actually knowing there's someone worth speaking to.
I guess.
So like Sam says, there's only a few sprites that go around the game, so a lot of people kind of just blend into the background.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Actually, he does stick out. I suppose. Okay, we'll give Ian, as much as we rag on him for being shit. We'll give him this one credit. He is like this biker sort of gang-looking dude. That's a sprite anyway. Leather jacket, dreadlocks or whatever.
Yeah.
In a village of just peasant-looking blokes. So he stands out. You speak to him and you find out he's a companion. Wow, this game has companions. I'll keep an eye out for them now. So the next one you come across is Tycho, who's a bald dude in leather armor in a town of bald dudes with leather armor. So
then again, Tycho quite literally is like the generic companion.
yeah, but he's also a badass. He's cool.
I just want to remind you that Tycho literally still exists in Fallout 3. He just has a different name.
Jericho?
Yes, there is still a bald.
Oh, but Jericho's a bastard.
Yeah,
Tycho's
but
my boy.
But do you understand what I mean? It's literally the same character.
He's
It's
Boone.
the same archetype. Bald man
He's,
with gun and armor.
Yeah. He even comes with a shotgun as well, like Tycho does.
Oh, well, that's just taking the ultimate piss.
He's Cassidy in Fallout 2. He's Jericho in Fallout 3. He's Boone in Fallout New Vegas. I can't remember enough of the Fallout 4. No.
Nah, he's definitely Codsworth in Fallout 4.
Yes, he is a robot. He is a British butler robot. Alright, so we talked kind of about the water chip, but of course that is only the introductory vector to get us involved in the larger storyline of the game, which is of course the mutants.
Obviously, keep in mind that you looking for the water chip obviously leads you to Necropolis, which most certainly is going to introduce you to the bigger threat.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
It's clever storytelling. It's a clever way of actually. It's a simple, clever way of setting up your story. It's like rather than have the game open with the wasteland is under attack by mutants, and you must find a way to. You're just exposition dump. No, you start at something simple and something small and something personal to you and the immediate people in your life, you and your vault dwellers, and from that the game expands and becomes more about saving the world essentially.
And fighting 20 Ians at once.
Yeah, which thankfully pretty much every game in the Fallout franchise does that formula, which works and it's good and it's better than what I was saying before. Just opening with a big text scroll. The evil Galactic Empire has been dealt a serious blow by the rebel. No.
A long time ago in a galaxy very, very far away.
You know what I mean? So, yes, the water chip is important and it is half the game, but it's also a good way of introducing you gradually, since, as you said, you go to Necropolis, which is where you will definitely encounter mutants if you haven't already by this point. And then it shows them as the main threat in the game. Which leads us to the Master and the Cathedral and mutants in general, and how we feel about them as the main antagonist.
I honestly have one very big complaint about the Master as the big antagonist of Fallout 1.
Why is that?
He's a jellyfish man.
He gets introduced way too fucking late.
You think?
Well, there's sort of
It's like
hints
You
of
would
him.
want
Yeah,
you would
but
want more foreshadowing?
No, what I mean is you never get to build up any emotions towards the Master before the confrontation.
I can see that, but I don't know if that's really required, or what they would actually do with that, like show the Master showing up and killing your family or something. There's definitely a little bit of foreshadowing. Like you speak to Harold, the ghoul, and he talks about.
Harold is
What's
Harold's not a ghoul. He's a subject of FEV.
Whatever.
Exactly.
I'm
He's
getting
technically
to
a
that.
super mutant.
Leave me alone. What's the Master's original name?
Oh, I forgot.
I forgot. Well, whatever it is, he talks about him and a couple other people being in the Mariposa and how whatever the Master's original name was, Bob falling into a vat of FEV and never being seen again.
His name's Richard Moreau.
That sounds right. Or Richard Grey. That's his alias, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So there is a bit of foreshadowing to him as a villain, but like you said, there's no real way of I guess there's no emotional connection or investment other than, hey, he's gonna kill everyone if you don't.
Hey, he was called Dick at one point in his life.
I just wish.
So he
also,
was.
like the game,
Richard.
you're always being told about this big conflict that super mutants are raiding stuff.
You never see it though.
You never see it, so you never get to develop a hate towards the actual enemy.
Well, technically, you do, because I think, from what I understand, I swear, if you go back to Necropolis, you will find mutants again because they would have killed everyone or something like that.
I think that's right. Yeah, but you don't see it anywhere else, and it is when the game ends. If you took too long, it's this town has been destroyed by mutants. This town has been destroyed by everyone's dead. But you didn't really see anything. It didn't. Yeah, they were a threat, but they weren't really actively invading cities that you were coming across or anything like that. That could have been something they could have done.
Yeah. Still, the whole reveal of the Master in the end, definitely hits the point.
It is I'd argue it's a good lead up to it as you're going. The cathedral is creepy. Yeah, the cathedral is a creepy end game place, and when you go from there, you find the vault underneath, and you're going from level to lower level to lower level of the vault, and each way it's getting more pooier and it's getting more gooier until you get to that last narrow corridor, which is just a really cool like lead up to any final boss battle in anything. Just a corridor with nothing else on either side. It's like the long walkway.
Yeah, it's basically a Green Mile.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, and it's a good final dialogue as well with the Master.
Yes.
I know like the way I did it was pretty bland. It was just like, hey, you're a dick and I'm gonna kill you.
I mean, it's a well-advised way to finish the game. So.
But there is other ways of doing it, like especially I think there's a whole bunch of ways of doing it, but the one I know, which is probably like I guess the good way, is through information you gathered from the Brotherhood, you inform him that your plan's like majorly flawed because replace all humans with mutants. Yeah, okay, that'll make them better suited to the wasteland, but they'll be sterile and
dead.
Kind of a dead end, mate. And you kind of just
have the same people living on and on forever.
Yeah, he kind of just gives up at that point. I don't know. I don't actually know what happens there. Does he just blow himself up? Or
the way it works is that like every single vault that is built is literally sitting on top of a nuke.
Oh, he detonates the nuke. He starts.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was something like that. He suicided himself somehow.
And
so it is a good final confrontation for the game.
Yeah. There's another way, like you can even go the whole sneak route and like literally.
And you can detonate the nuke yourself.
Yeah.
I know there is a few other ways of doing it. Something involving a pulse grenade, which Sam insisted on, but I never figured out what that was about. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
In the Let's Play, like, you got to have a pulse grenade, Stephen. You got to have a pulse grenade.
Because pulse grenades make the Master dead easy, from what I remember. And then,
so do Gatling lasers.
Yeah, but apparently
Gatling lasers.
I love it when the Master just blows up and poo goes everywhere.
Oh,
yeah,
that was nasty.
That's the thing I never understood. Like, I get that the Master is like horribly deformed and poopy in his chair, right? I get
we
that.
are adults.
I'm okay with that. But why is the entire lower level of it that poopy?
Well, he has to walk somehow, Ben. He's probably like, I need to go for a poo. Mutants carry me.
Serious answer, I think it's kind of because he's not confined to the chair. He's been growing constant, like a fungal sort of thing. It's just getting everywhere and just spreading more and more throughout the vault.
It's everywhere.
My not serious answer is pooper scoopers. They're just kind of they're cleaning out his pen all the time.
His pen?
Yeah.
Can you please clean the poo off the wall?
But yeah.
Whoa!
Master, like once you get to meet him, he's a great antagonist.
We've missed out the other antagonist of the game as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna refer to him.
Oh, we're coming Okay, no, we'll go back to the game's real antagonist next, but after, because the end game is split up into two different routes, which you can do in either order. There is destroy the mutant factory, and then there's destroy the mutant leadership. So the leadership is the master at the cathedral, and the factory is this Mariposa military base, which has been converted into, because the FEV virus tanks they've got there, that's where they're making the mutants. And you've got the lieutenant there, who is a lovely fellow.
Guards! Capture him!
Capture him. Oh, what's the line, Sam?
What line? I can't.
Prime normal.
I actually doubted my officers when they said they'd captured a prime normal.
Prime normal.
Your report.
Van Hagen, report. Oh, Van Hagen, you.
As Van Hagen
So yeah, he's
kind of
he's basically the sub boss. He's the
Basically, Van Hagen.
as the name implies.
No, Lou is great.
As the name implies, he's the lieutenant of the armies, and I don't know who's more difficult, the master or him. I definitely had more trouble with the lieutenant, but I was lower level at that point.
Yeah, I think the lieutenant is more difficult simply for the reason that he has like 2 more super mutants backing him up.
Yeah,
with
and
rocket launchers.
he is an actual combatant, whereas Master's just got the poopy chair miniguns. So he's a little bit. I was gonna say it. Lou's a bit campy with the fucking monocle and the weird. Oof, bloody hell, British
The
Empire
way he
voice.
dies is one of the most gruesome deaths I've ever seen in the game.
Yeah.
Sort of melts a bit, and he's like, as his knees give way, and he just becomes a puddle of shit and blood.
So kind of combining both those endings together, the whole like finale of Fallout 1 is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Especially when you're running from Mariposa because you've got 5 fucking seconds to get it before it explodes.
I've never heard your voice go that high since.
Oh, crazy tech. Watch the goddamn Let's Play if you haven't. Anyway. The last thing, Fallout 1, of course, is the main boss, Gizmo. Who can forget? Alright, so like, pretty much earlier on in the game, it's the second settlement you're probably going to come across, Junktown. Basically, Fallout 1 Megaton, just a shitholesville, where you kind of can become embroiled in a sort of power struggle between Killian, Darkwater, and Gizmo, the casino owner. And yeah, it's a fun. It's not even a main quest really, but it is like the main quest of that town, which you're going to probably get involved in just on your way. Again, kind of just naturally you get sort of drawn into it without it being too on the nose of, this is a side quest. Do you want to do this side quest?
Yeah, it feels more like the world has something happening and you can get involved.
I mean, that's the whole thing. The whole game feels a lot more organic like that. You kind of just get drawn into these little pathways which might be involved or might not be.
You don't necessarily always feel like the big protagonist.
Yeah.
At least not in the early parts.
So yeah, it's this little sort of, I don't even know, like crime thriller sort of storyline. Like you're waiting a goddamn wire, trying to get confession for Gizmo for sending a hitman on Killian and all this sort of stuff. And then of course it leads up to the great boss fight of shooting a fat man at his desk.
It's not really a boss fight, is it? It's just
it's the first boss fight of the game.
It's a mugging. He's an old fat bloke.
Don't forget his henchman. You can't discredit Ezo.
And of course, Ezo, get me a set of kneecaps.
Fucking easy.
The poor bloke that has to run up to people with guns and punch them.
The world's crappiest ninja.
Is there anything else really to cover in Fallout 1 anyway?
I will. The Overseer.
Any fun stories or experiences? Oh my god! How did we forget? You just Overseer.
Yeah.
So at the end of the game, spoilers. You've defeated the mutants, you've got the water chip, you return to your home, Vault 13, and the Overseer's like, Ash, you did it! You've saved us all! But of course, you're not allowed back in the vault, because you're a bad influence now. You've proven that life outside the vault is possible, and that's basically going to be the death of the vault if other people follow in your footsteps. So you basically get banished, which results in me and Sam doing what when we were playing as Max Stone?
Okay, so what happens is you get a little sort of split second to activate combat once his dialogue ends. And in that, if you are a melee character and move up to hit him, his sprite doesn't really like it.
Okay, so was it a punch or a sledgehammer, whatever it was we did to him? We sledgehammered him, and the death animation for the Overseer is pretty awesome anyway. His entire torso in the side explodes, intestines come lying out, and he kind of squirms around and crawls to the vault door so he can lock it before dying himself. But when we sledgehammered him, it sort of has the knockback effect, which it does for a lot if you get a critical hit on people anyway. And basically his sprite just
slivered.
Slithered away off the screen
into a different dimension.
It kind of just flew off the screen, through walls, through the vault door. Kind of.
I mean, he got back in the vault. He got back in the vault fine. We're already helping him go back to his.
I really hope I have footage of this because the description probably ain't doing it justice. But fucking hell. And then it ends with you walking away in the distance and then finding out that Tits McGee is still alive, even though she got killed by the Master. So I don't know what happened there.
I mean, you rubbed Gizmo's belly to get a turbo plasma rifle and get back to life. I'm pretty sure Tits McGee had ways to live.
The wish-granting Gizmo.
The wish-granting Gizmo, also known as the second twin.
Maybe fades away in the distance.
Yeah. So
Fallout 1.
The Vault Dweller takes off to found this village.
Yes. Sorry. You narrate. Tell us the story.
The Vault Dweller just walks off, broken, a shadow of his former self, goes out to just found a village out in the desert called Arroyo.
Far to the north, kind of on the border with California and Oregon. Where there's actually, I don't know, it's like Arroyo Springs, or there's something there called Arroyo anyway, and that's what the village is named after.
That's all
in real life I'm talking about. And he founds this village, which, 100 years later? Is that about right? Give or take? Oh no, not that long, because there's still some characters who are alive. It's like,
years.
Yeah, I'd say it's less than that. Okay, so there's a village, and it's now a fairly primitive tribal village, very low tech, spears and crazy wise men with face paint on, and the village is going through a hard time. The children are dying, the Brahmin are dying, I'm dying,
the water is dying.
I'm too weak, Anakin, help me.
My garden could use some serious weeding.
So somebody has to go out again, like I was saying, the formula of these games. Somebody has to leave the tribe to retrieve something of value. In this case, a GEC, Garden of Eden Creation Kit, a high-tech piece of Vault-Tec technology from before the war that was supposed to be able to terraform post-atomic war. I don't know how much land exactly, but basically a terraforming module, which is supposed to help the Vault. So you are the great-grandchild of the protagonist in the first game, the Vault Dweller, and you have to go through the Temple of Trials to prove yourself worthy, which involves punching some ants and then pickpocketing the guards so you can just leave. So that's the end of that.
It is so broken. Like, is that in the restoration project as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because that's the only version of the game I played. So
it's
I
good.
I always just talked my way out of it.
So yeah. So you're fighting through this. I don't even know what the Temple of Trials is supposed to be, to be honest. It's a car factory. I always kind of thought.
What fucking car factory is pits that deep in it?
No, but serious question, because obviously, unless they built it, but I doubt it.
So.
Given that they live in tents.
What
was the Temple of Trials?
I'll see if I can find.
You do a bit of research. I've kind of been thinking it was like possibly like it's a factory of some sort or something, but it's.
Little is known about the temple's purpose before the Great War, but it is presumed to be that the building was a church or a museum.
Okay, I suppose that's possible.
Because they
suppose that makes
definitely
more
didn't
sense.
build that by hand. Because fuck me, they needed
Doesn't that look like a church? Because it is a bit, be a very old style church with fucking
Yeah.
Indiana Jones style plates that shoot darts from the walls and all this sort of stuff. So you leave, you prove yourself worthy, and then you get the vault suit worn by your great grandfather, which is probably disgusting. And
I wonder how they preserved it. Then again, it's Vault Tech.
vault tech, I suppose,
Cloth,
long
so-
life. And you're
Probably
sent out into the wasteland
self-deodorant.
with the only, again, no hand holding, not really. The only tip you're given is there was a trader came by called Vic,
Find Vic and Clamor.
who had this item, and it's a flask from Vault 13, which is the vault you're looking for, where you think the Gick probably is. So he might know something about Vault 13, so you have to go find Vic. Apparently he has a shop in Klamath. So that's all you're given. Pretty simple setup once again to the game, but
Yeah.
So Fallout 2, I love it. It's possibly probably one of my, New Vegas is my favorite, but I think after that, Fallout 2 is definitely a contender.
Yeah, I mean, disclaimer, there's some serious fanboying going on right here. Like, Fallout 2 is probably... No, it's most definitely my favorite game of all time.
Wow, that's
I played through Fallout 2 more times than I remember. Like, it's probably upwards of 40 times at this point.
Jesus. Jesus, if you're not, I mean, even taking into account a good bit of exaggeration there, 10 or 20 times is still a fuck ton.
No, I started with Fallout 2. I played Fallout 2 the first time when I was like 6.
Yeah.
When my brother was still hand-holding, obviously. And to this day, I still go back and play Fallout 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, I played through it a lot.
So I'm nowhere near on your level because the first time I played it, I've already played 3 in New Vegas, long before I played Fallout 2. It was the first one of the classic games I went to. I don't know why I went 2 over 1. Just I like the look of the Enclave storyline more. And it, being the first classic game I played, I found it a bit difficult to get into. But once I did, actually through the help of you guys on Fonline, funnily enough, Fallout Online that is, for those who don't know, I figured out the basic game mechanics enough to then actually get through the opening stages of the game itself. And from there, I just loved it. I just loved the I don't even know, just the adventure of it, the companions, the atmosphere and the style of it, and just it is Fallout 1, but so much more built on top of it.
feels
So
like
many
they
more
really went
quest
to town
lines.
on it.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest parts of especially Fallout 2 is just the writing.
oh yeah.
It's
I was
so
even going to
well
get into
written.
that. The humor of it as well. The references go fucking crazy in Fallout 2. Just today, I was in the town of Modoc, and somebody's like, "Oh no, I've lost my son," and I offered to help him, and he's, "All right, tell you what, you can have my dog Laddie. He'll help you." So you follow Laddie to the well, and you speak to Laddie. Whiff whiff. What's that, Laddie? Have you found Johnny's scent? Whiff whiff. What's that, Laddie? Has Johnny fallen down the well? Whiff whiff. What's that, Laddie? You want me to break open this well, use this piece of rope I have here in my pocket, attach it to this wire, climb down and retrieve Johnny from the bottom of this? Whiff. Good idea. Like,
I mean,
So stupid.
talking about that, remember the special encounters in Fallout 2 as well?
yeah.
That just got mental. It was just like
Like the whole dinosaur footprint.
the travel
There's
through
a
time.
TARDIS. Yeah, there's
TARDIS.
like a Stargate or something just in the middle of the desert.
Oh,
And of
the
course,
Stargate is- the
our
Stargate is
favourite-
the funniest one.
our
because the
favourite has to be
Stargate-
the bridge keeper.
Oh yeah.
It's still my favourite one.
I mean, I love the Stargate just because it creates a fucking time paradox.
And that's how Vic got from Fallout 4 to Fallout 2.
No, like
That's our explanation.
What the Stargate does is it transports you to Vault 13 before the water chip breaks, and then
And
you
you
break
break
the
it.
computer. So your ancestor has to go out to get a water chip, and subsequently that leads to you even being created.
So you caused your own creation. That is amazing. I think I've heard of that before. I forgot about it.
Back to the Future reference, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bridge Keeper is my favourite one. You just come across
My
this
favourite
bridge
is
in the
different
middle of
from both
nowhere,
of yours.
and there's there's this bridge, and there's a guy in robes at the front of it. He's like, "Halt! Whoever would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3." Monty Python reference for anyone who doesn't know, but
there's another one, by the way.
and it's just asking you like random.
Another one. Sorry, hang on. You
So
go.
it's just asking you like random trivia about the game. So it's like, you know, statistics about what having a higher strength would do for different types of weapons or something like that. And if you get it wrong, you just explode on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, there's another reference to Monty Python, which is the knights looking for the Holy Grail.
I've not seen that one.
It's basically a shitload of just power armored guys looking for
Oh.
the Holy Grail.
So Brotherhood of Steel Knights.
Yeah.
My favourite encounter in it for some reason, it is the Cafe of Broken Dreams.
That's great.
It's so stupid, but I just really like it. It's interesting. Like it just feels like it was an in-joke between the developers.
What was it like?
Basically, Ben would be a better explainer.
Basically, it's you remember the cafe way at the bottom in the hub, right?
Yeah.
There's a bar there. That's the layout of it. And you enter the building, and it literally just has a bunch of guys and gals in vault suits, and a dog. The dog, needless to say, is dog meat, which is the companion you could get from the encounter. But like all the other ones are protagonists that, for one reason or another, wear cut.
Okay.
One of which is black, and they just couldn't have a black protagonist for some reason. I don't know. And then there's like
What do you mean protagonists? Like
like it's basically models.
Basically, different race
For the
options,
vault,
Right.
and hair
yeah.
options.
Like the different models you could have had, the different sprites you could have had to be your character.
well, it's a little side tangent, by the way, just I'm talking about character models. Because I've only played the Restoration Patch version of Fallout 2, what character customization was there
None.
in the original game? None at all.
You wear like short black hair.
So
Short black hair
it's
guy.
the same as in Fallout 1, just
Yes.
brown-haired dude and black-haired woman.
Yes.
That's the only
pretty much.
options. Right.
Thank
Cool.
God for mods.
Thank God for the Restoration Patch, because... yeah.
Oh yeah, Cafe of Broken Dreams is great. Also, don't forget the Nuka-Cola truck. The
Oh,
space-
bad luck
the,
dog.
The bad luck dog. Fuck that dog.
So-
Legit.
Just a word of warning for anyone who plays the game. If you get a random encounter, which is just a circle of corpses, and in the middle of that circle of corpses is a dog, don't go near it. You won't die, but that dog will become a permanent companion, which, takes up a character slot, so you can't... And you can never get rid of him. You can't kill him. You can't, tell him to fuck off. And he reduces your luck special stat by however much. It's basically just like he fucks your game.
It's
He'll
always
just-
2-1.
He'll just ruin everything. And of
Yeah.
course, having low luck in the classic Fallouts is probably a bigger deal than it is in the later games. Because it actually is things like you'll shoot and your gun will just explode in your hand. Or, just horrible things that you just don't want to happen will keep happening to you.
You critically missed and your gun teleported you back into the vats of Fallout 1 and then you became a
Yeah,
mutant.
you punch someone and you end up swinging around and punching yourself in the face, knocking yourself out, missing the next 5 turns or something
Sparking
like that.
yourself out in tune.
But yeah,
Sparkle, yeah.
and like the last special encounter I remember is the Star Trek shuttle,
Oh, I've seen that, yeah.
which lets you loot the phaser and the hypos, which is the best medical supplies in the game.
Oh. I know we're just listing references and we're not really getting into the game itself.
Yeah,
but
it's terrible.
there was another one, a fucking Goonies reference I got today. Again, with that well I was talking about. You get to the bottom of it and there's just caps lying around. And if you pick up any of them, you go, "This wish was mine, I'm taking it back." Which is from the fucking
Yeah.
Goonies. You also lose karma, so I stopped after the first 5 or 6.
This is not worth it.
It's not worth it, Johnny.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
So, going back to the formula of all these Fallout games, you open up and you're sent out to try and find the Gek. And this, of course, leads you into the wide world, where it's a lot more developed than Fallout 1 societally. It definitely feels like time has progressed. There's a lot more people, there's a lot more settlements, and the NCR has been formed now, the New California Republic, which was Shady Sands, the first settlement in Fallout 1, has become, like, essentially a city by this point, the capital city now, and there's actually, like, a nation state, and there's a military, so there's a bit more governance, and it's a little bit less chaos. But it doesn't make it easy by any means, though. And of course, you become introduced through... I would say this kind of covers your little complaint about the Master not getting enough foreshadowing, because the main antagonists of this game, the Enclave, they appear quite a lot. As well as in the intro cinematic, you have this random encounter with Frank Horrigan, the biggest badass of them all, and a couple of Enclave troopers just harassing this farmer and his family and just murdering them in cold blood.
I was about to say that I wouldn't call that harassing.
Just murdering, minigunning them to death.
What are you doing harassing those people over there, or at least what's left of them?
And there's quite a couple just little scenes here and there of like seeing Enclave. You don't really know who they are or what their deal is, but you just see these black power armor dudes up to shenanigans throughout the wasteland, throughout your entire game.
Your first thought probably is, wow, that armor looks cool. I want it.
And then you see the minigun up a farmer and his child and his wife, and you're like, maybe these aren't just like the Brotherhood of Steel then. But yeah, I just gonna say it now though, I love the Enclave. They are definitely my favourite my favourite antagonists throughout any of the Fallout franchise.
Yeah, they're great antagonists simply for the reason that they are not, like, if you put them on a D&D alignment scale, they're not just chaotic evil. They have a motive.
They think, they're they always say the best villain is the one who thinks they're the good guy. I probably butchered whatever the quote is, but you know what I mean. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're saving America, and they're saving humanity by getting rid of mutation and, wiping the slate clean and just making sure that,
Which,
humans can continue on.
Mutation is a pretty bad thing.
Yeah. Everyone who isn't Enclave has background radiation in them, and they've been mutated in some degree, so it's best to just, genocide them all, and then start fresh with the nice, clean, pure Enclave.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like some biologist who could tell you that's actually the right approach.
Quite possibly, but it's still horrific.
It's horrific. It's terrible.
So yeah, the Enclave are essentially the remnants of the United States government from before the war.
Yeah.
Before the bombs fell, different government officials and was it like CEOs of various corporations, head of states, and head, I guess, like the CIA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They all went to various bunkers throughout the wasteland, but the main one was the Poseidon Energy oil rig off the coast of California, which is their base of operations. Also, one of the coolest end game locations in any game. I love it. I just love being on an oil rig. No, I don't love being on an oil rig because it sucks. That's my day job. But but it's just a really cool environment for the end of the game to be on.
Well, definitely something different than expected.
Yeah. That's why I like Night Shift. It just reminds me of the end of Fallout 2 when I'm at work.
Do you ever look for anyone who's trying to sabotage the rig while you're on night shift?
Nah,
even if they did, it's fine. I just get sent home a week early, so it's so good.
That's the whole reason why you got sent home.
Just a little backstory there. A crane fell on my oil rig last time I was at work, and I got sent home a week early because like all production got halted.
So Stephen, why did you sabotage the crane?
Shh. Investigation's still ongoing. But yeah, the Enclave are cool. They're really weird-looking power armor. I always think it kind of looks bird-like or insect-like. Yeah.
I mean, definitely no neck. Pretty much.
It's totally different from like the Brotherhood of Steel, who have a presence in this game, but it's very, very small.
Yeah.
It's definitely the sense of they have deteriorated a lot over the last 80 whatever years it's been.
Something must have happened.
And the Enclave have stepped in to basically fill that void of the technologically superior faction in the world.
Sadly, this time they actually can't.
Yeah. So yeah, just that whole backstory and that whole like latter half of the game is just fantastic, and of course it leads up to a lot of really fun missions, including Navarro, which is probably like one of the high points in the game. You sneak into this on-land military base. This is probably, I mean, you might not even know who the Enclave are by this point. This is probably your first encounter with them proper introduction, and you basically infiltrate, you steal a set of their power armor, and you wander into this base. And it's fantastic, because you get roped into fucking guard duty by Arch Dornan, the drill instructor. And he's just a total stereotype, and he's my favourite character in Fallout ever.
I mean, there's one more thing I wanted to refer to, which is armor design. Like, if you compare the design of the old power armor, like the Brotherhood power armor, it makes you look stalwart. It's like you're standing upright and like you're this massive presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Enclave power armor has this like slightly hunched over, and like broad shoulders, broad neck, and like it just looks more intimidating and more
thuggish, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's meant to look more intimidating.
Yeah, like the Brotherhood of Steel, more or less looks like a knight in shining armor. And you got like the Black Knight opposite in the Enclave armor.
Monty Python reference again.
It's not my choice.
Yeah, you're very right there, actually. I don't know how much more detail throughout all the middle portion of the story we want to go into for Fallout 2. But or we just go straight to the final encounter again, like we did with Fallout 1.
What about go find the vault from which your ancestor was banished, and you go to the vault, and there's just a little death claws living there now.
Very true. There's a big change in Fallout 2. Didn't even see that one coming, actually, when I played the game. So you do find Vault 13 eventually when you're looking for the Gek, and all the people are gone. New people have moved in, as well as a bunch of talking, intelligent Deathclaws. That was unexpected.
Some interesting new people.
Yeah.
It's like when you get a new neighbour, just some bloke with scales and...
Yeah, just that your neighbour is like slightly scaly and has a massive left hand.
But it's just such a weird... Especially for someone who first played Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Deathclaws are the embodiment of, oh my god, what the fuck, run! And seeing a society of them, it was just so surreal. I mean, even in Fallout 1, they were awful. Yeah, and of course, you even pick up this one companion bloke there, who's just a dude in a robe, until you get into get into combat with him, and he fucking throws the robe off, and he's a goddamn Deathclaw called Goris. Oh, and he's amazing. Haven't even really talked about the companions, because of course, our favourite one, Victor.
I never liked Vic.
It's because you're a monster. You don't appreciate the corpulence of Victor.
The way he walks around with that rifle.
My normal setup was always Sulik, Cassidy, Goris.
Yeah, the companions in Fallout 2 are excellent as well.
Yeah.
Marcus is
a
mutant who, at this point in the game, which I just think is really cool, again, it's this feeling of change. Things have actually progressed from Fallout 1 to Fallout 2. Society is starting to develop, the Brotherhood has deteriorated, and the mutants, a lot of them, have tried to integrate into society. But yeah, I like Marcus, he's cool.
I like Marcus' personality, but he kind of had a knack for shooting me with a minigun, so...
Everyone does. So Vic, like we said, he's sort of your first waypoint at the beginning of the game to find him. He's been captured by slavers who he's managed to piss off for basically being the shoddy salesman that he is. And you basically have to get him out of it in order to
He's
recruit
really
him.
in the thick of it. It's like 1 million slavers.
Do you think Vic is a doorstep vendor?
Mm-hmm.
And you can have everlasting youth like me as long as you take the Vault Canteen in the cell now.
Drink from
Don't
this Vault
speak.
Canteen and your hair will
buy
grow
now and
back
get one extra.
anytime. Why are you such a bald fat fuck then? Just run away. And that's how he got arrested, taken in by the slavers.
That's canon now.
So I just loved it because we broke Vic out. First, this is probably what really brought me on from just playing Fallout 2 to absolutely loving Fallout 2. Was this point in the game where I broke Vic out, got him in my group with Sulik, me and him, and then the three of us storming back into the slaver den to basically get revenge and free all the other slaves that were there. But as soon as we killed all the slavers, and I opened up the door for the slaves to escape, what the fuck does Vic do? Pulls out the goddamn shotgun, panics, as far as I can guess, and starts shooting the slaves as they come running out the door towards him. Oh, bloody hell!
Filthy peasants.
I like to think he just panicked.
'Cause he didn't really continue shooting, from what I remember. He just sort of shot one, and then it just got up and ran away.
With a goddamn double-barrel shotgun that he likes to march around with. With his wee
wazzle.
shuffling steps. Ah, I love Vic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the companions in Fallout 2.
Sulik.
They're great.
Sulik with his grampy bone.
Granny Bone is angry.
Just another tribal dude who has like he wears sort of the bones of his ancestors on him, particularly his grampy bone in his nose, who speaks to him and sometimes tells you important information about locations you're in if you ask.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole load of companions we're going to skipping over, but I think they're sort of my main men.
The meat.
There's Cassidy. The
Cassidy,
poor
who's just Tycho 2.
I mean, he's Tycho 2 plus heart disease. So.
Well, actually, you're missing the most important one of them all.
Druggy dude.
Myron.
Lenny. He's just Lenny.
I never gave a fuck about Lenny. he's like this ghoul doctor.
He's
Oh my
shirtless
god,
and he
I
wears
wasn't even aware of this one.
He's in Gecko.
Yeah, he's in Gecko, he's a ghoul, and he wears jorts, so...
Well, I'll not be recruiting him on this current playthrough either, so that's fine.
The
Aw.
classic.
And Myron. No one wants to forget Myron.
Yeah, I hate Myron. Fuck that kid.
He's such a horrible cunt.
The
The
like
inventor of Jet,
16-year-old,
or wherever
the
he is.
16-year-old that came up with Jet, which is literally just Brahmin shit jammed into a fucking spray can.
In terms of gameplay changes from Fallout 1 to 2, because it's more or less the same game, but they did definitely improve a lot. They tweaked a lot of things and polished it up. Little things like not being stuck in a corner when your companion fucking gets in your way anymore, because you can push them now. Tycho. The car is also a major thing. You can... It's an optional thing. If you can retrieve like the car battery and something else, and you go to a guy and you spend a bunch of caps, and you get this highwayman, whatever it's called, and it basically just fast travel gets you from A to B much quicker. Also adds a cool theme tune when you're doing so. A lot more weapons and equipment as well. Like a fuck ton, actually. Fallout 1 was, there was enough to get you going, but what was it, like 10mm pistol, SMG, hunting rifle.
Combat shotgun.
It was pretty bare bones. It was like one of each kind of gun. In Fallout 2, you've at least got like a variety of assault rifle type weapons, a variety of sniper type weapons, a variety of pistols, all this sort of stuff. Just a lot more P90 SMG as well as the 10mm SMG, as well as whatever other SMGs there are.
Fucking grease gun.
Grease gun. Enemy types as well, even excluding Enclave. You got I was going to say floaters, but they're Fallout 1. The aliens, though, Wanamingos, or whatever they're called.
Wanamingo. You got like so
they're
many
freaky.
different. There's so many different like types of bandits that all like act differently in combat in Fallout 2. Like you got raiders who like are very like gun centric, like they're like assault rifles and stuff.
Hobologists. who are just the
Hapology-
game's total
fucking
piss take
Science-
of Scientologists, including a Tom Cruise fucking reference.
Yes.
I can't remember what the character's name is, but you can kill him. So that's all that matters.
He doesn't have a name. It's just fucking.
Is he
what's
not?
it?
I'm sure he has a name.
ASF or something, or what they're called.
Oh yeah, like his name is a
I'll
number.
ask the. Yeah. Hapologists. I'll Google. You keep the conversation.
Oh, Juan Cruz. Is it
Oh,
really
yeah,
Juan Cruz? Isn't that
Juan.
fucking obvious?
It's Juan Cruz and Vicky
Juan.
Goldman.
Juan.
Is a new Reno porn star that endorses the Hapologists in 2241. Ah!
Don't you love Juan? Juan.
And Vicky Goldman, who's a reference to Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, yeah. There's just so much in Fallout 2. We can't really just sit here and talk about it all day, piece by piece.
Fallout
So we'll just
2
skip.
could be a separate video in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll skip just to the climax, like we did with Fallout 1. So,
The climax, which Juan Cruz is very familiar with.
firstly, you hijack a boat. Well, you borrow a ship that is full of civilians who are just living in it. Don't mind that.
fucking
You've cleared out the
tanker.
bowels of the ship from, which is, again, a poopy goo zone, just like in Fallout 1. Full of centaurs and floaters and Wanamingos and all the worst enemies in the game. I like that mission, actually. I don't think it's even required, but I just like that mission in the boats,
Yeah.
if you ever did it.
I mean, you had to save the guy's
Someone's girlfriend was lost in the ship, and you go down to like the bowels of the ship, and it's just the most awful area of the game. I love it.
Yeah. It was great.
Anyway, you borrow this ship because it has a I can't remember what the word is. Basically, it has the chip technology pass thing that'll allow it to dock with the Enclave oil rig. And
The IFF tag.
yeah, that's the one. Thank you, Mister. Played it 40 times.
No problem. I got you.
And then you
covered.
get to the oil rig where I don't even know the atmosphere on the Enclave oil rig. Just the music. You're kind of supposed to leave your companions behind and go in yourself. You're still probably wearing your power armor if you're doing it properly.
Yeah.
And you're sneaking around and you find your kidnapped tribe who are being held there for experiments. And, you find out that all the residents from Vault 13 were taken there at some point. And you eventually find the president, Dick Richardson, who's funnily enough not really, even though he's the boss of the enemy faction, he's not really like the antagonist per se, because he just kind of pussies out. Like
Yeah.
he agrees to not call security because you threaten him, so he's not really the big deal. But once you basically set the place to explode or whatever you want to do, that's when you encounter Frank Horrigan again on your way out, and that's the master moment of going down the hallway and just coming across this.
This whole King
You've
Menace.
gone as far as you can, Muty. You haven't
King
met
Menace.
Frank Horrigan either.
The only super mutant not considered a superhuman for the sake
So,
of the Enclave being
Frank
pure.
Horrigan. What can we say about him? It's hard to really compare later games to earlier games in terms of stats because they're entirely different, but I'm going to say he's probably the strongest being in all of Falloutdom.
999 health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
max stats or whatever the hell he's got. I'm going to
Like-
go to check that.
Damage reductions in the 80% all across the board. It's like, he's
So-
difficult to take down.
Frank Horrigan is the head of the United States Secret Service and basically the right-hand man to the president. He's a super mutant, but basically the only successful attempt at, what super mutants were originally for, creating super soldiers with the FEV virus. But this was an successful attempt where he's actually still got his mind and fucking power armor. So he's quite the tough cookie,
Yes.
we'll just say.
He is basically a walking tank.
So, Ben, tell us about fighting Frank Horrigan.
Well, in which way would you want me to fight him? Like,
Well, tell us about
there's
your first time.
The first time I did it like the most vanilla way possible, where I turned the turrets on him, I turned the Enclave soldiers on him.
Alright, so you did it all properly, yeah.
Yeah. And I basically shot him with a plasma rifle until he died. But
Hit
then there was
points
also this-
999, experience
Yeah.
points 10,000, armor class 45, action points 20, carry weight 275, damage resistance 20/70. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
that means exactly.
It's 20 threshold, 70% reduction.
Right. 10
need
strength,
to-
10 perception, 10 endurance, 10 charisma. He's a smooth motherfucker.
I
10
mean-
intelligence, 10 agility, and 10 luck.
Charisma doesn't mean smooth. Charisma just means that
He has a presence.
he has a presence, and he most certainly has a fucking presence.
Oh yeah.
When
And
that
he
guy
most
walks in the
certainly
room,
gets his
everybody
way.
shuts up.
He just walks in and everyone fucking burns. Everyone does the melt animation immediately. Yeah, I think the first time I didn't get the turrets working, but I had me, my whole squad, so it was me, Sulik. Actually, I possibly lost Sulik by this point, but I never figured out when or where. Just one day I realised, wait a minute, I'm down a man. Where the fuck is he? Anyway.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, you went in Mariposa, and for some reason, Sulik just disappeared. Where the fuck
I
did he
don't know.
go?
He probably died at some point, but I never noticed.
He didn't die. I swear he didn't, because I was
So yeah,
watching.
me, Cassidy in power armor, Vic in power armor, Marcus with mutant armor and a minigun and whatever else, and K9 or whatever dog companion I had, or I can't remember what the other options was. But anyway, the bunch of us, we'd come across a bunch of evacuating Enclave soldiers who were like, hey, come on guys, none of us want to die here. How about you just, help us get off, we'll help you get off, let's team up. Didn't get the turrets working, but the rest of us, all against Frank Corrigan. I lost Marcus. Probably lost a bunch of the Enclave soldiers, but whatever, they were expendable anyway. But it was
That's
this
nice.
crazy battle. Lost Marcus, but then when Frankie boy, pulled out his fucking wrist blades, and I saw him turn towards Vic, and he started going for Vic, I was like, no more! And I plasma rifled him and blew him up. Fucking cut him in half. Again, we're talking about awesome death animations. Frank Corrigan has one of them as well. Cut in half, legs topple over, but he picks himself up with his arms and continues to shit talk you while he's bleeding to death.
And then his head just goes.
Then he explodes, and then you escape as the oil rig explodes in a mushroom cloud.
Don't forget
Fallout
his last words,
2.
though. His
What were
last
they?
words. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. You and your beauty friends are gonna be joining me in a big old mushroom cloud.
It's like, I love Frank Corrigan so much.
The worst bit is we
Yeah.
didn't join him. Broken heart symbol.
Do 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 do. Yeah, sad walking with music. And that's
Sad
Fallout
sh-
2, basically.
Yeah.
I love it.
Apparently Frank Corrigan is 12 feet tall.
That says it all.
But yeah, Fallout 2, most certainly my favorite game of all time, so... I don't know.
Unfortunately, well, I was gonna say it's the last one they made, but I don't actually know who made the next game. Fallout Tactics.
So who played it? Who but me played it?
I have played it. I have it. I have loaded it up.
We've
I
played
have
it.
made
on
a
Skype.
character.
You made Max Stone.
I have played it.
Did
I
you
got across
finish
the
it?
bridge, and I decided, fuck it.
Right.
I decided
I'll,
then and there I just didn't like it.
I'll make Fallout Tactics a
So-
short and sweet one.
Like, try and
It's-
sell Fallout Tactics for us. Ben,
I can't sell
Ugh.
it to you. It's a decent tactics game, right? But if you put Fallout on it and it doesn't feel like Fallout, it's a bad game. It's a decent tactics game. It's worth to play if you just disregard the setting completely.
I just want to check. It was still Black Isle Studios and Interplay, wasn't it?
I think.
It wasn't Black Isle, but I think it was Interplay, which makes no sense.
Fallout Tactics.
So-
Nope, it's neither.
The story of Fallout Tactics, I don't know it as well as the others.
That
'cause
was
I don't really give
it
a
was
fuck.
published by Bethesda.
Oh, interesting. Okay then. So basically, a detachment of the Brotherhood of Steel have headed on west in big old
Mushroom Cloud Sender.
mushroom clouds. In big old, yeah, they just rode the nuclear blast west. No, big airships, and they crash with a bunch of mutants as well. And they're now in like the Midwest of America, And because they're separated over time, they've kind of become their own branch. They have their own power armor, and to boost their numbers, they're now recruiting like tribals, natives basically, and they're coaching them, and they're going rape that red scorpion, and that's basically the plot of Fallout Tactics.
They're not just recruiting tribals though; they're recruiting Deathclaws as well.
Okay, that's also good.
Harry Deathclaws.
Hey, that's why I hate the game. I forgot why. No, like, I haven't played quite enough of it to know for sure, but I definitely get the impression it's mission based. It's not RPG. It's you go into an area, a section of map, and you have to take out enemies and do objectives. Mission complete. Select the next mission.
As I said, it's a tactics game. It's not an RPG.
It's not what Fallout was known for or would be known for in the future. It's just why it doesn't hold up as a Fallout game.
Like, Tactics is still a better Fallout game than the next diversion of the old recipe.
Which I can't say anything about because I haven't even touched it.
I can tell
with a barge full, like Tactics.
It's a twin-stick shooter and it's utter garbage.
Yeah, that's Brotherhood of Steel. Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel, isn't it?
No, it's just Fallout Brotherhood of Steel.
Alright, whatever.
And I have no words for that game. It's like, it's irredeemable. There's nothing good about this game. The soundtrack is decent, I guess, but that's it.
Am I right? Is there even character customization in that? I get the impression you play as one of two characters.
You get to choose one of like 6 pre-made characters.
Right.
One of them's called Kane. Is a ghoul. I think.
Yeah, all with different like skill trees ish, but there is no skill tree. There is no stats.
So really, they could have and probably should have changed the name and changed a few of the in-game sort of references and names and stuff like that, and they could have just sold it as a completely new IP and just not Fallout, because it ain't.
But it has Harold in it.
I mean, at least Tactics has character customization.
If you can look at what I've sent you, Stephen, then you can laugh at his face.
Kane. Oh, this is one of the player characters in Brotherhood of Steel, and he's pretty
hideous.
Yeah,
he's a looker. I'll give him that.
But keep in mind, Brotherhood of Steel, at least it has Harold in it.
Right.
If they help Harold,
and
get all his
Harold
limbs
sends
back.
you on a fetch quest to recover his lost limbs.
It isn't canon though.
No, it isn't.
So we don't even really need to talk about it. I don't even know if Tactics is either, is it?
I mean, it might as well be canon.
I think Tactics got put into semi-canon.
Semi-canon.
It might be
Legends.
Canon. Why wouldn't it be?
Fucking Disney. So yeah, is that all we have to say about those two? Because
skip the bad game.
You don't really have anything to say about that. So probably why, but yeah, Black Isle kind of failed at this point and got bought up by Bethesda. You know, makers of wonderful games Morrowind and Oblivion at this point, and then they bought up the Fallout franchise, and a lot of people. I don't know exactly what people's opinions were of that at the time. Probably half and half, I'd like to think.
A lot of the people would have said, "Okay, Bethesda is saving Fallout." I'm saying they took Fallout and turned it around and put Fallout on the box. It's okay. They're good games. They're definitely good games.
So yeah, Fallout 3.
They're all good games.
That's the proper official opening.
It's like, it just doesn't feel the same to me.
I will say Fallout 3 was my first Fallout experience, and for that reason, probably more than any other, I can be very critical of Fallout 3. Say that. I'm not going to be fanboying. I'm not blinded by nostalgia or anything for anyone starts accusing me of that. Because I could totally criticize the fuck out of Fallout 3. But I'm saying I'll probably give it more of a pass than some people because it was my first experience of the game, of the series in general. So it was this total introduction to all these things, which I love. And it's why I went back and played all the other games as well.
That's probably the main difference between us, because
it has a lot of problems.
I went into Fallout 3 with the whole notion of, I played the first 2 games before that, so it just was a completely different game and I just couldn't get warm with it. Yeah,
the thing with Fallout 3 is, if that's the only one you played, and you played it at the time when it came out, where the similar comparable games were like Oblivion, another quite clunky RPG, you know what I mean? it was epic. It was amazing. That's why it was getting 10 out of 10s all across the fucking board from everywhere.
If it was reviewed nowadays, I'd imagine it would get.
Nowadays, because it was quite clunky and shit like that. I'm not even going to talk about the graphical issues, but I mean they weren't completely up to scratch. And they did have a lot of bugs and shit like that. But
Yeah.
my main criticisms are things that you wouldn't really notice until you've played either the future games in New Vegas or the previous games in Fallout 1 and 2. It's just in that it's very rehashy. It's very... what's the right word to say? I don't even... Lazy? It's very much a... It's not...
Redundant.
Alright, let's get straight into it. So, the game opens up in Vault 101, where you are expelled from the womb, and you are asked, are you a boy or a girl, by Professor Oak.
And how the fuck would I know? Because cognitive functions haven't developed properly.
Yeah. So yeah, it kind of goes through this time skip of your childhood. You have your 10th birthday, in which you get your own Pip-Boy 3000. Get used to it. You'll be getting your first work assignment tomorrow. You meet your fucking childhood bully. You meet your fucking cunt of a boss. You go up to when you're 16, you're at high school, and you're taking the GOAT exam, which is going to tell you your job for the rest of your life in this vault. You know,
punch Butch in the head about 50 times and drag his unconscious body around and flip.
I don't mind. I like the opening. Like, I get how someone might not like it, but as somebody who really if I'm going to play Fallout, I'm going to go balls in. I'm role playing now. I'm playing as a character, so I'm fine. Sort of doing all this shit. I'm fine doing it once, but I will save before I leave, so that next time I want to make a game, I'm just going to load from, like, the last chance you have to remake your character as you're leaving the vault. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing I keep forgetting, so that's why the opening just annoys the fuck out of me.
What? That it's pointless in the end of the day.
Yeah, that it's, like, pointless if you've seen it once.
Yeah. It does go on a bit long after the fact, because yes, it turns out your dad has... Was it you're 19 or 20? It does another time skip, and your dad
19.
has escaped the vault, and that's bad because it's broken containment. There's rad roaches are getting in, and the overseer's
Foxes
pissed.
Everywhere, there's shit all over the
Murders. You put the bins out too early. Foxes are getting in when there's shit all over the place. So yeah, security is after you. People are starting to get killed. Overseer's gone a bit mad with power, and eventually you escape the vault. And you begin your actual journey outside. But the thing is, that whole sequence, it does go on a bit long, and it is pretty much...
It is tedious.
It is just... it's a shooting gallery, pretty much.
It's probably like 40 minutes of just...
Well, from beginning to escape the vault, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that shooting segment's not quite that. Maybe 15, 20 minutes, depending how quick you get through it.
It gets its old hat after a while.
Depending if you help Butch or not.
Yeah. But the thing
Please
is,
save me, Mum.
I don't hate it, but it's not really like how Fallout 1 or Fallout 2 introduces you.
Yeah.
Fallout 1 opens and it opens. You're completely open to the world. Fallout 2 starts and you have to go to the Temple of Trials, which is comparable, but it's a lot shorter, and it's almost just a tutorial at that point, and then you're open to do whatever you want.
Yeah. The Temple of Trials just teaches you game mechanics, to be honest.
Yeah. In this, I don't even know. It's just all right. It's a game that's all about choice and things, but for the first 40 minutes, the most important choice you make is whether or not to, help another human being or laugh as his mum is brutally killed by insects. There's your moral choice, everybody. You know what I mean? The rest of the time, you're just shooting people. And then it kind of sucks.
There is still choices.
You get to the Overseer, and you do have the choice to keep him alive, don't you? I guess it's been so long since I haven't murdered him that I can't even remember if that is an option.
Like, it's been a while. I haven't played Fallout 3 in ages, but I'm pretty sure you can just talk your way out of there.
So the dude's has murdered people. The dude's threatening to murder you. The dude's threatening to murder, to hurt his daughter, who's your friend. And yet you're the monster if you shoot him in the face a couple times. You know what I mean?
That pisses me off.
And I'm the monster here! Whatever, just fuck it. Anyway, you leave the vault and you don't really have to worry about it again. except for one mission later on, so fuck 'em. So now you're out into the actual wasteland. So we can forget about the vault for now. From that point on, opinions on the game. Once it actually opens out to be the open world.
I really like the world design. Just the whole, like the moment you leave the vault and there's already landmarks for you to follow.
The first thing you see off in the distance, probably catches your eye, is the Capitol building and the Washington Monument. Of course,
Exactly.
Fallout 3 is set in Washington DC. It's the first game which has gone to the East Coast rather than the West, which has its problems and its merits. Merits being it's new, it's got more stuff they can do. Problems being it's a bit too detached.
I mean, it gives them the possibility to do something completely different without upsetting the old fan base.
They don't, but we'll get to that. Yeah, it gives them the potential to do something new, but instead, no. So you go to Junktown, aka Megaton, and you
Nuketown.
You meet not Killian Darkwater in a hat, and he tells you
And he's
about,
black.
you know, to go see your dad, and then you go meet not Gizmo, who's Irish, and he tells you, oh, he knows where your dad is. Yeah, probably mentioned in Fallout 3, your water chip, your Gek is your dad this
Now
time
that
around.
you say it, these parallels are actually terrifyingly obvious.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, actually. When I'm on an oil rig with nothing to do, my mind wanders.
Bethesda, more like J.J. Abrams.
I mean, rather J.J.
When
Abrams.
episode 8 comes out, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to talk about the Star Wars movies.
At least there's no big explosions, though. You know?
Yeah.
Costa Rican boat guard.
Pretty much, it's really, he speaks to J.J. Abrams' comment, but in the same way that episode 7 was kind of a rehash of episode 1 and episode 4 and 5 and 6, that's kind of what Fallout 3 is the equivalent of for Fallout, because it is such a rehash. We're going to just skip straight through the story here. You've got super mutants again, so we're right back to super mutants being monsters, just like they were in Fallout 1.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than the progression they did in Fallout 2, as, you know, becoming integrated, responsible members of society. No, they're back to being monsters. But we didn't just rip off Fallout 1, we also ripped off Fallout 2, and we brought back the Enclave as well.
The thing is, though, that the mutants in the East being basically
That's a retcon.
monsters, it's not a retcon. It's the fact that all the mutants that didn't want to integrate into society decided to go east.
Oh, no, I wasn't what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say was, it's a different strain of the FEV. That's why
That is
they're
an actual retcon.
Yeah, that's why they're just big
Really?
yellow orcs rather than, you know, the semi-intelligent
people.
mutants.
Well, fair enough. Because I tend to remember that, like, all the mutants that didn't, like, appreciate the whole, oh, we're free now thing from the West just decided to walk east.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's how they got started, and then they started FEVing people in the capital wasteland,
But
and that's
if
how
the
you start
mutants
getting.
doing it, they're wrong.
Yeah, maybe that is an explanation, but I still don't like it. Really.
Yeah.
So, and
I
again,
getcha.
we're just gonna skip through. So, like with all the formats of these games, the game opens with you leaving the vault or leaving your beginning location to find something, which is your dad, and in the process you become introduced to the wider world, in which in this case is the Enclave are back, and they are once again trying to purify the world for the same reasons as Fallout 2, except shittier, because in Fallout 2 they were going to use like the jet stream to contaminate the whole world with FEV, whereas in this it's like we're going to just poison the water hole. That was it. And we're going to kill a few thousand people around DC.
That's terribly accurate. Just poison the water hole.
It's just toys. Someone's pissed in the water hole.
Can I, like...
Well, of course, you also get the help of the Buzz Lightyear crew, because the Brotherhood of Steel are back again after being kind of diminished in Fallout 2. They're back to being full strength as they were in Fallout 1 again. Like I said, it's just a reboot. It's just such a rehash.
It's a
I
soft
just
reboot.
I just want to get rid of one really big complaint,
What?
just now, so it's out of my system. I hate the fact that power armor doesn't feel like power armor in Fallout 3.
Yeah, I got you there.
If
Power
I can
armor
shoot an
is just
Enclave
heavy
trooper with a
armor.
hunting rifle, I feel that's wrong. You know?
Yeah, I kind of get that as well. It's one of those complaints that I wouldn't have noticed until I'd played the originals, and until you see like what Fallout 4 did with power armor. In 3 in New Vegas, in those era of games, power armor is just heavy armor. It's just extra thick metal armor that you got on you. It's not a mech suit like it sort of is supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in the first 2 games, it basically makes you superhuman.
Thick, yeah, as Sam's just sent me on the Discord there.
It's like with power armor on in the other games, you cannot die if you're not fighting somebody that uses heavy weaponry.
Yeah.
But in Fallout 3, if you fight a super mutant that has a hunting rifle, he could just kill you.
Anyway, we've had a big old rant about Fallout 3, kind of our main complaints. But like I said, I still love it, to be honest.
It's a great game. It stood somewhat true to what I loved about Fallout.
Yeah, the exploration, like I said, the wasteland. What did you call it earlier, Sam?
It was just.
What did you say?
Like compared to basically.
No, there was a particular term you used to describe the hills.
It was green mush.
Green mush hills.
Because you went from like the arid deserts of Fallout 1 of Southern California, and you went to green mushy peas.
It is a very green and brown game. I love exploring the ruins of DC itself, even though you're kind of constantly hitting invisible walls and forced to use the metro tunnels. But that's cool, because I love Metro 2033, so I filled that scratch, you know what I mean?
I really enjoyed Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was great. It stood, like, it still had the griminess that I expect from a post-apocalyptic world.
Which is a positive thing of setting it in the East Coast rather than the West, because the West Coast has developed, and you're now in a place which is sort of remained very much shitty. I've said this so many times to Sam. I say Fallout 3 is Fallout 1 of this generation, where New Vegas is the Fallout 2 of that generation. It's Fallout New Vegas builds on Fallout 3 in the same way the Fallout 2, in all the same ways the Fallout 2 built on Fallout 1.
And Fallout 4 is the Fallout 3 of this generation.
Yeah, and Fallout 4 has once again...
everyone!
Which is why I'm looking forward to a Fallout 4.2 of whatever the Fallout 2 is going to be, or the Fallout New Vegas is going to be, because it always seems every time they up the engine, to a new generation, the first attempt is always... Like it's got the basis there, but the second attempt builds on it so much more and makes it so much better.
Whereas I think that New Vegas was less saved by Bethesda doing the right thing and more saved by Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah,
because Obsidian was basically
Black Isle,
all the old fellas from Black Isle.
Yeah.
But staying on Fallout 3 still, what to cover? Like, following the same kind of order of things we've discussed before, I would talk about like the climax and the main boss, but we'll just get out of the way now. It's shit, Colonel Autumn shit. You should have been the face he's done the end. So
I love the boss of the Enclave in fucking Fallout 3, dude. It's literally just a computer.
I would have preferred it if Eden was the boss, and the way they would have done it. If we're going to the copycat Fallout 1 route, just have him have miniguns and explode into poo when he dies.
Sure, let's just have him be a computer who has access to all the machines there and all the turrets, as well as like Enclave troopers. So it's this big arena battle, which
should have implanted his hard drive into a massive robo brain.
Here's an alternate climax. Climax. So you've been brought into the Enclave base, probably later on in the game, because if this is going to be the end, or at least like the end point 1.
All about to the climax.
Because you've still got to go to the Jefferson Memorial again, where they've taken over the water purifier, but that'll come after. You're going through the base. Maybe you're like sneakily freeing other prisoners. You eventually get to the big computer chamber, and the fight ensues. He's got turrets and things. He's got sentry bots and things coming in, and there's waves of Enclave troopers coming in. You can hack doors to open them to let like other prisoners in. You can maybe even find a way of like bringing in your outside help from like your companion who is still trapped outside. I don't know. Fuck Costa Rican, but yeah, I don't know why you threw me off with that one. Costa Rican boat guard. Yeah, and so make it like a big old arena fight of just like a prison break almost. But no, and you just speak to a computer who gives you a FEV and tells you to go murder people. You got no motivation to murder people.
It's like, there should be some device that's like, I'm going to force you to do this. Just, you can do it if you want. Fuck it.
Like,
when really you could have just picked it up and just dropped it on the floor.
why even have a karma system at the end of the day when the only two fucking things that even mattered in the whole game was, are you going to help us disarm this nuclear bomb in the middle of our town? Or are you going to be a genocidal fuck? And are you going to not be a genocidal fuck? Or are you going to poison everyone for no benefit to yourself whatsoever, but just because you want to have the bad ending for a change?
Yeah, it feels like it's an evil part for the sake of, not for the sake of being evil, but just for the sake of having an evil part.
So yeah, like we said about the Master
like
in Fallout 1, he had a reason for what he thought was right. He thought that mutating people into super mutants was the best way of ensuring their survival in the long run. The Enclave thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were like rebuilding America and bringing us back to the good old days and making America great again. But
Good old days of corporate lobbyism.
Yay! So, but like, what the fuck's your motivation in Fallout 3? I want to get the bad ending this time so I can get the fucking achievement on the Xbox.
That's because they did the mistake of saying that this way to play the game is evil instead of an alternative. It's like they made it look inherently evil.
Yeah, when you put the evil sticker and the good sticker on things, people are going to be like, well, I'm doing a good playthrough, so I'm just going to keep clicking good every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I enjoyed the karma system from the early Fallouts.
Yeah, because it's not that obvious.
Because it's because literally this settlement likes you because you helped them. It's not, oh, everybody loves you now because you helped Johnny get out of the well.
He didn't get out of the well, by the way. He died.
So how Johnny become a boat guard?
No, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about?
You know what I mean.
You know, like, okay, so like we've already made the comparison between Megaton and Junkting because they're the same fucking thing. But in Megaton, the moral choice, the main quest there is: are you going to be history's greatest monster and nuke a town for no reason, or are you going to,
you get paid for it,
or are you going to help people out?
You don't.
In Fallout 1, it's are you going to help Killian Darkwater because you think he's the best man to sort of run the town, or are you going to help Gizmo, who's a big fat fuck? Who, you know, I don't know why anyone would trust Gizmo, but, you know, he has reasons for what he wants to do.
I mean, the thing is that Gizmo, you wouldn't trust him, but he would probably be the more beneficial person to help.
What do you mean? Like, just the town in general?
Just because he would use his influence to actually help the people that helped him get to power.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of didn't really like Killian that much. He sort of seemed a bit stick up his arse, to be honest.
Yeah, he seemed fairly generic to me.
Like, I think he would have done an okay job at running the town, but kind of just okay. The town wouldn't really have progressed much. Whereas I think Gizmo sort of probably would have, you know, even if in a shitty sort of way, probably helped the town, you know, compete with the hub and places like that. Yeah. So, you know, basically, look, we're having a debate about this, whereas there's no fucking debate to be had with, are you going to nuke a bunch of people, or are you not?
Like, I can't remember, I haven't played Fallout 3 in ages, but what is the reason that you're even being offered to nuke those people? What's the point?
Because I need someone who has no connections to this town.
Yeah, but
no attachments.
What does 10 pennies stand to gain from it?
I don't like it in my view. Get rid of it.
Is that actually it?
That's it.
Yep.
It's an eyesore for 10 penny. He doesn't like it.
I'll have to.
Deep moral quandaries, everybody.
Give me. I need to fucking like. If that's actually true.
That's the reason I'm not taking the piss. If you speak to him, it's an eyesore. Is the actual word he uses?
Oh my
fucking
god.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my god. That's terrible. That's just that I have no way. Just no.
See, I think we broke Ben a little bit. I'm starting to even think what else to really go on for Fallout 3.
I know, like 3 again, it felt a lot more like a prototype
Yeah.
than the actual finished game.
It definitely has its moments.
It has its merits.
Although I'm struggling to
like,
think of like specifics. Just
It-
I don't know,
it
just
has its merits.
wandering around and coming across like random encounters.
Like one
First
thing
time
is, like,
finding new places.
yeah. Like it has its good parts, but the gunplay isn't one of them.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about like the actual gameplay
The gunplay
mechanics,
is
the
act-
nit and gritty there, because
the
yes,
gunplay is actual garbage. It's so bad.
I don't ever remember it being so bad back when I first played it on the PS3 with the controller. But having it on the PC, I can't fucking handle it.
It's like you basically
can't
all you
handle
do
it.
is the only thing you do constantly is VATS.
Yeah, you have to use VATS. The sort of callback to the turn-based mechanics of the old games where you pause and you got percentage chance to hit things. You kind of you have to really use that as a crutch, more as like a fun alternative, because just the straightforward shooting like normal
Yeah.
is so fucking difficult. I think that's probably why I have always sort of been driven towards being a stealthy, sneaky character, because at least when I'm crouched and stealth and with a sniper scope, I don't have to worry too much about like quickly shooting people correctly. I can just sit there patiently and like painfully and agonizingly get my fucking mouse to work so that I can like hover over their head and click.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm a bit different in that respect, as I tend to end up leaning more towards a melee character, because I won't end up having to.
That
worry
is
too
also
much
true.
about
You don't have to worry
collision.
about accuracy so much there either. You just have to get in their face and keep clicking.
Yeah, but if you're the kind of person like me that really enjoys big guns and you're trying to shoot a minigun at a person in Fallout 3, you're just sad.
Yeah, I mean, at least you've got more chance of hitting them, but
Yeah.
that's just with, you know, statistics at that point.
Yeah. Fallout
When you're
3,
nuking
like,
an area, you're probably going to do some damage.
Yeah. If you fat man it, like. But Fallout 3, like, definitely a really good game. Like, probably. I don't know. It's like, it still felt like a Fallout because shit was fucked, yo.
Shit was fuck, yo. Yeah. I'm not even sure. I'm struggling to think what else to really talk about with the base game. So I'm just going to fucking move on to the DLC at this point. Because
Yeah,
at least
I'm-
there is something
like-
that Bethesda did quite good.
On
I say
the
did
DLC,
there.
I'm sadly out. I'm gone.
You're out. No, as
I
in you
have
didn't
not-
like or you didn't
I
play?
have not played any of them.
You've not? Whoa.
No.
I'm surprised then. Alright then. Well, there was
Costa
four...
Rican boat guard.
four
I had to say it
Why do
again,
you keep saying
Because
this?
basically, I made a little challenge to myself before we hit record. Going back a bit, I made a challenge to myself to insert Costa Rica boat guard without
You didn't insert it though, you're just randomly saying it. He's referencing the fucking Costa Rican boat guy from the Lost World movie, by the way, everyone. Because he is a possible unlockable player character in the Lego Jurassic World PlayStation game. And it's just weird, and he just finds it funny that of all characters... It's because Jurassic Park doesn't have enough fucking, like... It's not like a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie, so you can't have the whole roster of unlockable characters. So they go for, like, random dude in background. Anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. That's what he's fucking referencing, and I don't know why.
Not even on Google Images to come. Anyway,
What the fuck? DLC. So,
Yes.
we're just going to go in order of release as far as I can remember. So the first one was Operation Anchorage, which is a simulation of the liberation of Anchorage, Alaska, which was in the lore, happened before the nuclear war. I don't like it that much. I was going to say that. It's really not very good.
it's not the strongest DLC.
Wasn't there some zombie DLC? Some spooky, foggy.
Point and look out.
No, that's later. That's New Vegas. We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
like-
the thing about Anchorage is it's a first-person shooter. In a game that we've already established doesn't do shooting very well. Not really. it's a very linear, straightforward shooter. It's basically the first 20 minutes of the game when you're escaping the vault, but extend that out for an hour and a half or whatever.
God.
It's just, there's not really any decision making or moral choices to make because it's all in a simulation. It's all very structured and very linear. And I only play it because the rewards at the end are good. You get the Chinese stealth suit and winterized T-51B power armor and a whole lot of other equipment. But the actual mission itself, it's fine for a one-time thing, but really it's definitely not a strong point. It's definitely not one that I think people would go back to. It's not even something that you can really role play with because you're in a simulation. So at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not really your character doing any of this thing. It's not having any impact on the outside world because it's all fictional. It's fictional in a fiction. It's a game in a game!
Fictional fiction.
Anything to add, Sam?
Not really. It's just not very involving. When it's set in a game which is meant to be all about being an involving role-playing game, you just go through the motions. It's just not that intriguing.
I think the idea of setting it pre-war, which not on there yet, but Fallout 4, I'll just say one of the positive things I can compliment on that for, and Operation Anchorage was the first attempt at sort of doing that, a pre-war window into that world. It just wasn't anywhere near as much as they could have done. What they could have done it as was setting up more lore and more insight into what was going on, and possibly seeing more real shit. It's so hard to say because it's a fucking simulation, so it doesn't fucking matter even if you come across families and people like that, and maybe speaking to Chinese fucking prisoners and getting their side of the story or something. It's all just jingoistic bullshit because none of it's real. The fucking generic army general just spouting off movie quotes. That's pretty much it. Whatever, I'm done talking about it. Next one was... I don't actually know what the next one was. We're going to say Pit. Yeah. Pit.
Oh, that's the Pittsburgh one.
I like the Pit. I actually really like it. It's... Because it starts off... Okay, so... I'm an escaped slave called Werner. So you pick up that radio broadcast and you come across this escaped slave called Werner, and he tells you about this slaving city called the Pit, Pittsburgh. And you go there and you're tasked with trying to find a way to bring down the slavers and the raiders who are in charge of the place and free the slaves. Pretty straightforward. But it's cool that to go in, you have to basically be stripped down to nothing. You have to actually get yourself enslaved, essentially, and work your way up from there, and that's kind of cool, if you know what I mean, because it makes you vulnerable, and it's not very comfortable, because I don't want to be a fucking slave to these wankers.
I mean, go and play your role, be a slave for 70 years.
Yeah. So it feels like, am I walking into a trap here? Do I really want to get involved in this? But you do anyway. And the atmosphere and the actual map is pretty fucking cool. If I had I'm sure it's got some problems because when I played it on the PS3 anyway, it kept breaking. The frame rate's awful. I don't know if it runs even that well on PC, but...
And for some reason, sometimes you keep falling... Sometimes the pit... not all of the pit will load when you're at a certain point. And you might fall through a few roofs and go through the map, and it's terrifying.
That sounds like a Bethesda problem, though.
Yeah, that's just Bethesda, everyone. But no, I really like this DLC, actually, and, it's definitely one that's worth playing, because it... I don't know, like I said, I like to roleplay, and it's definitely a fun little side adventure to go on. Which definitely takes at least a couple hours anyway. You can sort of climb the ranks, you fight in a goddamn arena for your freedom, you end up becoming a slaver, and in the end it actually presents you with a bit more of a... Yeah, definitely a much better moral choice given than anything else in the base game, and that's, do you actually, take down the slavers, who are just trying to find a cure for the disease that's affecting everyone, slave and slaver in this city, or do you, do what Werner wants, but possibly long term fuck them all? It's a bit more of a moral choice. than just, be a slaving cunt or don't be a slaving cunt.
One thing I do like as well about it is how with the whole the DLC is two parts to it. It is the whole storyline bit and the collecting ingots bit.
Oh,
and
how could I forget?
And I really like the collecting ingots bit. I like how if you collect 100 of them, you can be you do feel like you're going up the ranks of the slave world a bit.
I am king of the ingots. Yeah, like that.
Then, yeah, and I like how you can end up getting like power armor and a skull helmet by the end of it.
That's actually very true. I spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to find those last few ingots.
And the bloke's just getting more and more flustered at the fact you're finding all these fucking ingots.
Any slave who goes out there trying to find ingots, they always come back a body. Holy shit, you're actually like doing... Well, geez, keep them coming then. I'll keep giving you shit.
I want someone just to do it so they give him all 100 ingots at once. He's like, I don't know what to do anymore.
I can't handle it, son. just let me suck your cock for a moment. I love the ingots.
Oh,
I need them. I don't need help. I need ingots. Simmer down, pucker up.
So I haven't played the DLC. What fucking ingots? It's literally just iron ingots.
Yeah, because it's a steel mill. The whole Pittsburgh slavers, they're basically like, it's very, very industrial. The whole sky is like red with fire, and like they're basically all the slaves are at work in this mill making ammunition for the slavers. So yeah, you're sent out to try and find iron ingots in the sort of like scrap heap.
Oh god.
So yeah, I do like the pit. Quite a lot actually. It's possibly my favourite of the DLC, to be honest. What comes next? Is it Maryland or is it Aliens? Whatever. We'll go Aliens first. Don't like it.
Probing.
Mothership Zeta. You're abducted by aliens and you fight aliens. And there's some colourful, wacky characters, and that's.
And it's a samurai.
Actually, again, a lot of my same complaints about Operation Anchorage could be levied here because it's just
the most linear. There's no exploring. It's just eat the squids and then get the samurai.
Yeah, and it's way too long as well.
I was surprised at how it took me a day.
I just want to get off this ship, please. But it keeps going and going.
Some people would complain about DLC being too short. Steve was the kind of person to complain about DLC being
if it was like...
If it was quality DLC, I wouldn't mind. But it's the fact
it wasn't
it
all
takes so long.
on a ship. You're stuck on the ship. You can't escape. You don't really give a fuck.
You are surrounded by octopus on plates that you have to keep eating.
Yeah, it's probably my least favourite, actually. Probably more so than Anchorage. I mean, Anchorage at least short and fairly sweet, and it has good loot. This is kind of just tedious.
It's the most Bethesda-y DLC.
Like, I actually preferred it when, originally, it's just there is like an Easter egg, which is a crashed alien ship somewhere in the wasteland, and if you find the ship, the most powerful weapon, a small like gun in the game, is there, energy weapon, pistol. And it does like a fuck ton of damage. But now when you go to, since that DLC, if you go to that ship, you get abducted and then you're stuck on the spaceship for like 10 hours.
And the alien blaster's gone.
And you don't get the alien blaster anymore. Like, I almost rather wish they just kept it, the little thing, rather than the big, you know what I mean? Whatever. Fuck it, I'm done. There is a cool samurai though, and I like his outfit, but you need to kill him in order to have it, and I don't want to kill him. He's cool.
And there's a cowboy.
And there's the alien's been abducting people from like across human history, so it's kind of cool. You can see like a whole bunch of colourful characters, like I said, which is probably the only real positive thing.
The characters are the positives, the ship isn't.
Yeah, nothing else is. And the last one is Point Lookout, which I have a feeling is your favourite, Sam.
I love Point. I just love the look of. I love the designs of Point Lookout. I just love the whole like gritty, dark, foggy atmosphere of it. I really like it.
So you come across a little boat that's just kind of parked itself up the river in
Costa
DC.
Rican boat guard.
Shut the fuck!
Sam, I swear, I'm gonna come over there and like actually shove my fist so far down your throat you're gonna
To
feel
be
it on your
fair,
fucking rectum.
I did wait until you mentioned the boat.
You didn't wait. You said it 17 fucking times already.
No, but ever since you scolded me the first time, I waited till you mentioned the boat. So get off my case.
I hate you. I love you. Okay. So anyway, there's this Costa Rican boat guy, and he offers to give you. No, actually, you come across a woman who's there, and she's like, my daughter went on this boat and she never came back. Go get her. So you speak to the guy and you go to Point Lookout, and it's the biggest map of any of the DLC for a start. It is kind of a mini open world, obviously way smaller than like the base game, but it's still pretty cool. There's quite a lot of locations, a lot of side quests here, which again, there's something that just isn't in a lot of the other DLC. There's no side quests because it's just one fucking linear corridor shooter on Mothership Zeta and Operation Anchorage. But at least here there's lots of things to do and lots of things to explore. And yeah, it's crazy, like redneck country. There's forget it. I was gonna say, what's the goddamn ugly guy from the Goonies called again? Sloth. Yeah, Sloth's in this. He's an
Sloth's
enemy.
in it a lot.
He's in it a lot.
Everything looks like Sloth in Point Lookout.
It has actually been a long time since I've completed it. I was playing it with you like a few weeks ago.
It's
As I was
because
screen
it's such a
sharing.
behemoth of
But
a DLC.
yeah, which I suppose is a good thing. I can't really remember what the real storyline is. There's something about a brain. That's all I remember. And cultists.
Something's
So
happening.
if brains and cultists interest you, and sloth rednecks, then
And
Point
Charlie
Lookout's
Blue.
where you need to go. Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty nice. Nice, awful area.
And then we
and
get
it's different.
Broken Steel.
I forgot about Broken Steel, you're right. I knew there was a fifth, but I couldn't fucking put my finger on it. Yeah, okay. Broken Steel. So we didn't even really finish talking about Fallout 3. The ending's shit.
Yeah, the ending's fucking terrible.
So, like I said, President Eden, he's disappointing. He's a big computer, and he forces you to gives you the virus which they want to use to kill everyone. So anyway, you eventually in a kind of cool battle, even if you're not really doing anything, you're just following Liberty Prime, the giant robot. You fight your way through the city to get to the Jefferson Memorial, which is where the water purifier that your dad made is. And you get in, and Colonel Autumn's there, and he's basically this game's Horrigan. Or his game's almost the master, because he's like the last boss. And yet, this guy is just like, I'm gonna shoot you. No, you're not. Fair enough. And he walks away. Or, even if you don't do that incredibly easy dialogue solution, you can just shoot him in the face. And that's the end of that. So, what was Frank Horrigan's stats again? 1 billion to everything, and then you've got this guy. How the fuck did this guy get the position?
What guy was it again? I've completely...
Colonel Autumn.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hello.
You
I'm a white
couldn't
man
even
from
fill a
Virginia.
single of Frank Horrigan's shoes. Not only because his shoes are massive, probably, but because you're shit.
I mean,
Autumn.
again, like
Augustus.
I just
Blue.
think the whole power balance in Fallout 3 was completely out of whack.
In what way?
Like, most guns did way too much damage, and
Oh, okay,
things died way too quickly. Like, power armor didn't feel like power armor, and important, supposedly very high-ranking enemies basically fell over when you spat at them.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having, like, an imposing figure ahead of the enemy being, not necessarily Frank Horrigan, but like, President Richardson in Fallout 2. He was the head of the Enclave, and yet he was just a dude in a suit who
But what I mean
wouldn't
is,
even
like,
fight you because he was a
give me
pussy
character that's
bitch.
supposed to
But
be, like, if you give me a character that's supposed to be an air quotations boss fight,
Yeah.
at least make the fight somewhat challenging.
It's the fact that have either Eden be a boss fight like we were saying earlier, or have Autumn be a boss fight. Don't have them both be pussy bitches, because it makes the entire plot of Fallout 3 feel like such a watered down version of Fallout 2. Like I said, Fallout 2, the stakes were global. The factions were like mini empires. Here, you've got two little fucking... It's like a playground spat between the Brotherhood and the Enclave slapping each other.
And someone's pissed in the water roll.
Yes.
We are the Enclave, but we're also kind of pushovers.
We're the Enclave. We're here to take your lunch money. Oh, no, you don't. I am defeated. It's just such a disappointment.
No, you don't.
Hell, even the conclusion to the super mutants, who are kind of like initially seem to be the main threat. There is no real conclusion. At some point, you can tell the Brotherhood, oh, by the way, I think I found where the mutants are coming from. They're like, oh, this is good. We will use this information.
And they never.
And that's all you hear.
The super mutants are basically like glorified rodents.
Yeah, they're just vermin in this game.
Tell the exterminator where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the
find
character is.
Eventually.
It's like, as the main character in Fallout 3, what you do literally is like call the number of super mutants constantly.
Yeah.
You're just running around murdering everything. Fallout 3, good game, shit ending.
And you know what? You're not even that... Speaking of the main character, you're not even that important. You're more of like a... You're good at like fixing everyone's inane fucking problems, but on terms of like being a hero, you don't... The most you really do, the most you really contribute is you were the one who retrieved the Gek.
Yeah.
That was all you really did. Like, your dad fucking made the water purifier and gave his life to, you know, get it up and running. Liberty Prime was the one who really won the fucking battle.
You're just a guy with a gun.
You were just sort of... I don't know.
Well, Fork's got the Gek tech.
Oh, don't get me started on... So, Fox is a super mutant who you pick up in the vault where you get the Gek, which is also the vault where the mutants are making themselves. And he's a good mutant. He doesn't like fighting, although he's a combatant. So he doesn't like killing innocents. Anyway, you team up with him, and if you have him at the end of the game, at the water purifier, so somebody has to go in to turn it on or turn it off or push buttons in order to make it work before it explodes and like does a lot of damage. So somebody needs to basically give their life to go into the incredibly irradiated fucking chamber and do the deed. And you're expected to do it because, you know, you're the main character. Even though you're a civilian and, you know, you've done enough already, for fuck's sake. But even if you have Fox with you, who's immune to radiation, you tell him to go in, and what did he goddamn say? This is not my destiny. It is yours.
But if you have broken steel, he's just like, oh yeah, of course you.
Yeah. I haven't gotten the broken steel yet though. But this is the vanilla game. Had such a shitty ending. I remember being so disappointed when I played that for the first time.
Fucking lions to kill herself.
Oh yeah, you could also tell her, and she would take a fucking strop. But fuck yourself, lions. You want to be the fucking hero? I'm just a goddamn civilian. I'm just here to fucking, you know, avenge me dad, who's already given his life. What the fuck have you given? What have you sacrificed, bitch? So anyway,
an entire platoon of soldiers.
So anyway, somebody has to go kill themselves, but broken steel then happens. Then Butch, the bully from the vault, shows up. I'll make amends. Thanks for saving my mum.
Burns up the radiation.
Insert Fallout 1 plasma death.
Tell you what, that would have been a better ending. That would have actually tied in like a karmatic choice you made. Karmatic's a word, right? A karmatic choice you made early on in the game actually ties around and actually like means something and has importance. Or maybe like the old lady who you gave the violin to. She shows up and I'll do it.
Basically everybody shows up.
Everyone. I'll do it. I'm Spartacus. Yeah.
Pretty much. And then no one does.
But then they all just die from the same cancerous radiation, so it's fine.
No, it's like it takes too long for everybody to say that they'll do it, so the thing blows up and everybody dies.
Explodes. Yep. Anyway, Broken Steel rectifies that, and it actually gives you a post-ending section of the game. So you no longer die, you just go into a coma for a couple of weeks. Or you could send Fox and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that, can I? So he goes in and he does it. Anyway, like 2 or 3 weeks pass, and it goes more into the the war between the Brotherhood and the Enclave, the remnants of what's left of the Enclave. And it's pretty cool. I haven't played it in a long time, come to think of it, but I remember it being kind of cool.
Fox, can you do it? I'm sorry, lad. Me sausage fingers are too big for the keyboard.
Still a better excuse than it's not my destiny.
Well, I'm
Fox,
saying
you
it's your
silly
destiny,
cunt,
you
I'll slap
fucking
you
asshole.
silly and make it your destiny.
Well, let's talk of destinies. Making me feel mildly
Oh,
disappointed.
That's
about
not
the
the
game, no.
topic That's not because like I was close to referring to Mass Effect when talking about bad endings. So
Oh, yeah, we could, but maybe not. Maybe that's like that'd be another
We've
2
already
hours
got
and
one
6. That would be
second
another
of
2
the
hours, 6
video.
minutes and 43 seconds.
that's
So
the
we'll
topic
leave
for
that.
another day.
So, yeah, Broken Steel's cool, and it opens up this whole new area at Adams Air Force Base, which is a cool little battle in like the sort of new Enclave headquarters after the destruction of their old one at Raven Rock, and yeah, it's good. It's all right. It's pretty cool, and it just adds a whole lot of other bonuses, like it ups the level cap to 30 from 20, which, come to think of it, it's pretty shit for the vanilla game. 20,
The fact that there is a level cap is disgusting.
And yeah, I believe we've pretty much covered all of Fallout 3 now.
We rented enough about
Absolutely
Fallout 3.
everything, except for the Mirelurks. They're a crab people. So yeah,
Fuck Mirelurks.
New Vegas?
New Vegas. Down now. So yeah, I already said this at the start of the video, but New Vegas is my favourite of the Fallout games.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely like it's the second one for me, right after Fallout 2.
Yeah, it's made by Obsidian, which was kind of a conglomeration of old Black Isle guys who made the first two games, and for that reason, largely alone, it probably accounts for so many of the improvements on it over
Yeah.
Fallout 3.
I mean, that's the single reason why there's geckos in the game.
Yes, there is. It also brings us back to the West Coast, which means once again we see development in the world. We've now gone another 60 years, something like that, on from Fallout
40
2.
years.
40 years. And the NCR, the New California Republic, has expanded even further, and it's really consolidated its power. It's pretty much
It's getting a
up
bit
to being a
greedy.
full and run nation state at this point, and its
like-
needs are starting to get a bit much. It's having to look beyond its borders, and it's gone to the east, where it's come across New Vegas, this one city seemingly untouched by nukes, as well as Hoover Dam, a working, functioning dam actually able to produce electricity, which could totally satisfy its needs, and just that alone is kind of a cool intro
Yeah.
in this post-apocalyptic world. It's talking about like
One
rebuilding and the sort of things that you would come across in this sort of situation.
There's a very important parallel to actual history, though,
Yes.
as to where the US actually started is the East Coast, and then started like taking over.
That's
all the
very
land
true.
towards the
It's
West.
sort of the inverse of that.
Exactly.
starting from
like,
California.
Literally like running over tribal civilizations for more
Yeah,
Lebensraum.
even the massacre of Bitter Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reference to like things that have happened with Native Americans. You've got the sort of, I don't even know, it's a very bureaucratic kind of. They're a democratic society, the NCR, but they're also very pushy, and they're obviously very much forcing their own agenda on a lot of smaller settlements and independent settlements and tribes and
Like, the
things like
thing is,
that.
To be honest though, like all these tribes and smaller settlements have a lot to gain from being part of the NCR.
Oh yeah, it's not like they're an evil empire or anything like that, but you know, it's very realistic is what I'm getting at here. It's
Yeah.
All
not
the
black and
tribes
white,
wouldn't like change.
and
They're
that's
an
good.
actual nation.
Having this moral complexity here is just one of the great things about New Vegas. But we haven't even talked about the other side of what's going on in the story, because there's a second major faction, which is a new one to this franchise, called
Which is the
Caesar's
Tops
Legion.
Casino.
Fuck off!
It's the Costa Rican boat guys.
The Ultra Lux Casino.
No, it's the Costa Rican boat guys.
I did.
Oh.
Ben, you said that this time. I'm not getting battered by Steve again.
I'll put you in the fucking washing machine again.
No.
I'm not mad at the bloody house. We're off track. So, Caesar's Legion, which is the new faction originating in Arizona, whereas the NCR is, democratic and, it's all about old world US kind of values from before the war. Caesar's Legion is brutal. They're a slaving society. Essentially, they're raiders, but unlike the raiders we've seen in all the previous games, these are organised and led by this one very intelligent man who's taken on this identity of Caesar, obviously very much building himself on the old Roman emperor, and, or technically not emperor, if you want to get technical or whatever.
Book and then decided, I'm Caesar now.
Pretty much. He's a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse, which are a faction way back from Fallout 1 that we encountered, that Tits McGee was a member of. That's the only name this channel will ever recognise for her.
Tits McGee is responsible for the Legion. Oh.
And they're basically all about, in the same way that the Brotherhood of Steel kind of collected and preserved technology, Followers of the Apocalypse are sort of more about information and knowledge and that sort of thing. Am I right in saying?
Yeah.
And
all
this
about
guy,
preserving knowledge.
what's his name? What was his name again? Caesar.
Wasn't it like Edward something?
Yeah, they were like on a missionary mission off to some tribe somewhere, and they kind of got captured. And when he found out that tribe was sort of having little skirmishes with its neighbours, he's like, "Tell you what, you're kind of doing this whole war thing wrong. How about I, give you a few pointers and how to," and it basically like led this tribe to victory. But the thing was, the tribes had never really all out attacked each other. They'd only like done little, playground spats once again. And so the fact that he basically led these guys to massacre their neighbours sort of took them by surprise and sort of forced all of the other tribes nearby to kind of fear them, and eventually he kind of forced them all together with him as the leader, and that kind of became this snowball effect of just rolling over all the other tribes in the area into this little legion,
building a slave army.
Yeah, and his intention ultimately is to, I'm not even sure, because his way of thinking certainly ain't normal. He wants to rebuild society as in this way where, democracy, that doesn't work. We did it before the war, led to fucking nukes. I don't know. So we're gonna fucking do it this way. It's in the same way that the Master was all like, you gotta be a mutant to survive the wasteland. He's more, you gotta be kind of ruthless.
Yeah.
But being
Which
organisedly ruthless rather than anarchy is better. And what the NCR is doing is completely wrong. That's just going to continue to result in anarchy, and they're just going to collapse, and it's never going to last. So, we gotta take them out. I'm not sure if I'm quite doing the description justice, but basically that's the setup for these two superpowers of the post-apocalypse coming head to head over New Vegas in the middle.
I wouldn't even call Caesar's Legion a superpower.
Comparatively, compared to like everything else we've seen in the post.
But compared to the NCR, they're a tiny speck. Like
I think their amount of land's actually pretty vast.
Let me.
But they're not quite nation state though, like the NCR
Let me explain to you what I mean. If you look at it from a realistic standpoint, Caesar's Legion would not stand any amount of chance against the NCR.
And yet they were.
As I said, I'm looking at it realistically. It's like Caesar's Legion had, they were so badly organized, they would have suffered attrition. They would have just died. They would have starved before beating the NCR.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I think they were very well organized, whereas NCR soldiers were kind of just conscripts. They were kind of forced into the front lines. Caesar's Legion, they fucking made sure their soldiers were actual warriors, and they kind of really brutalized it. And yes, they didn't have the technological advantage, but
Caesar's soldiers didn't want to be soldiers either.
No, not originally, but there's not really dissent in the ranks there because they're so authoritarian. They're so it's the terror in the fucking ranks there.
I mean, I guess there's no point in us arguing about.
I mean, it's a
what
fictional
people-
world, so maybe
Yeah.
like you put this into reality, maybe it won't work. But I kind of compare them almost to like ISIS, if you want to get political.
Yeah, yeah.
They're fanatics.
But then again, like, if
And
you
it's
put it-
it's kind of like ISIS rolling over the Iraqi army. Yes, the Iraqi army has technological
yeah.
advantage and has like the actual nation behind it, but shit, in the end they fucking like deserted a whole chunk of land in those original fucking like few months or years of what the fuck was happening in Iraq back in the day.
I guess.
You know, and now this video is going to get demonetized because we mentioned political things rather than cat videos. But
As if we give a fuck about monetization.
yeah, we're not anyway. But
Fuck you, YouTube.
so I just want to say I don't like Caesar's Legion. I hate Caesar's Legion. They're but I like them as antagonists. I said Enclave are my favorite, but Caesar's Legion is a close second in Fallout.
I can really get.
I love to
behind-
hate them.
I can get behind the ideas. I can't promote their ways, but I can get behind the ideas.
But I can understand. Like, it's not just we want to take over the world. You know, you can understand the philosophy, even if I completely disagree with it and I think it's abhorrent, which is good. That's fine. That's a sign of a well enough written thing. Like, I don't think it's completely out with the realms of possibility. Like I've said, I would think they're very similar to certain things going on in the world today, or have gone on in the world in the past. But yeah, they're just. I like just parking myself above Cottonwood Cove with a sniper and killing them because they're slaving assholes, and slaving assholes must die.
I just don't like the NCR either, just because they're bureaucratic cunts. I hate bureaucracy.
I like the aesthetic of the NCR because the Rangers are fucking badass. But you know,
Yeah, I mean,
because there is, for the record, for those who don't know, there are more options than just these two. There's a couple more options than just these two, so you don't have to go between kind of iffy NCR and horrific Legion. But no, I would always sign NCR over Legion, but they have their issues, certainly.
Definitely.
Because of course New Vegas is the center point of the game. I haven't really talked about that. So the city is run by Mr. House, Tony Stark,
Dr. House,
again, whatever you want to call him, and it's just Vegas. It's casinos and gambling and all that. But he also has a plan to make New Vegas and the Mojave Wasteland independent from everyone, with a big army of robots.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
it's
like
iffy.
I think the biggest change to New Vegas from like Fallout 3 is the fact that there's a lot of bright lights going on, like a lot of Vegas. It's actually Vegas.
Okay, yeah, let's start making comparisons now with New Vegas and 3, because firstly, you're right, it's a lot more colourful, I would say.
It's more lively.
A lot more of a fun apocalypse, like I said.
Yeah.
Because it is a continuation of Fallout 1 and 2, and the world has progressed, and its society is still there. You've still got the post-apocalyptic things, you've still got the monsters, and the raiders, and everything else, but that's not everywhere, like it is in Fallout 3.
I mean, you can push Brahmin over though.
You can indeed. So you've got this. So you've got the mix between out in the wasteland, you can fight geckos and deathclaws, and get attacked by gangs of raiders, or you can go in the city and deal with like little gang troubles and crime, and do a bit of bounty hunting or gambling,
Casino needs more people to perform in theatre.
or yeah, exactly. Or doing a 2-man assault with me, my main man Tycho. Against the Gamora, fucking taking out all the gangsters.
You know what's an amazing addition in New Vegas?
What?
The whole survival difficulty mode.
I can take or leave that. I don't think it was done particularly well, but at least it was there. At least it was there as an option.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It lacked refining.
Yeah, but even just that being there, there's more RPG things in New Vegas than there was in 3. They have tweaked the stats a little bit, sort of split guns. Is it just guns in Fallout 3, come to think of it?
Yeah, it's just guns.
Fucking hell, I forget. It's been so long since I played vanilla Fallout 3, rather than modded to fuck one. It's just
New
guns,
Vegas.
energy weapons. New Vegas, big guns, small guns, energy weapons, and all these other things, survival. You've got the hardcore mode, which requires you to sleep and eat and to have water. You got the faction things going on with, not just those two that we've gone over, but all the other little groups throughout the wasteland.
The karma system in New Vegas.
It's there, but it's not as like in your fucking face as in Fallout 3.
I mean, it's like
it's more faction based. It's more this faction likes you or dislikes you rather than everyone.
Every faction has a reaction to what you do. Like, if you start killing off Caesar's people, like, Caesar is not going to be happy about it, but NCR is probably going to like you for it.
Yeah, and I like the way that it's played. That's why I play it so goddamn much, because there's so much variation you can do. Like, I've done a game where I have gone in Legion right up to a certain point, and then assassinated Caesar, and then swapped over to being independent.
Yeah.
Or, you can go independent, and you can pick and choose which factions you want on your side. The Brotherhood's there, but, like, very minimally. There's a whole load of other smaller factions dotted around, and you can, like, pick and choose who you want to ally with, and you got little mission lines and quests for all of them. You got different quest lines for Legion and from NCR, and there's so many different ways of playing it. Versus this very straightforward.
Have we even spoken about the main story yet?
I mean, we've kind of gone over like the opening.
I mean, the main story is pretty much the greater conflict over the Hoover Dam.
Yeah. Well, we're missing where we started here. Like we said, Fallout always starts with you leave a place to go for a thing. Water chip, Gek, your dad, and in this, you are a courier. You're a courier who's been tasked with transporting a platinum chip, because it's Vegas, from somewhere to somewhere. But you were shot on the way and ambushed by Benny Boy and a bunch of gangsters. So anyway,
one guy that actually owns a 9mm pistol.
Yeah, who's also Chandler from Friends. So you wake up in Doc Mitchell's place, and you're basically, patched up and patted on the back and sent to go. So you open up the game in this little town called Good Springs, and you're basically got to find the man who shot you and get back the platinum chip. So there's your water chip. There's your Gek. But in the process of doing that, it's where you come across this larger conflict that's going on, and eventually when you've got the chip, you're sort of told to make a decision. Like, you can help Mr. House use the chip for its real purpose, it being an actual computer chip that's supposed to unlock this army of robots. Again, not my favourite part of the game, that idea, but whatever. You can do the same idea, but be for yourself rather than for Mr. fucking House. Annex Vegas by killing Mr. House and helping NCR, or go and switch sides to Legion and, all that, where we've gone over all that by this point.
Yeah.
So that's the rough outline of the story. But there's a lot more side quests, there's a lot more things to do. The map's a bit more interesting, I would say.
I mean, instead of like green mush, it's brown desert mush. So.
Yeah, it goes back to desert. But the town, there's at least more variety in towns rather than just Junktown 2 and Rivet City.
I mean, simply with the addition of having literal Vegas.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would commend 3 over New Vegas is I like the exploring the ruins of DC, whereas Vegas, the city itself, is pretty small.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on, but it's not as fun to explore
rebuilt
around.
From scratch, right?
No, it's not really been nuked too much. That's why. It's just got a big wall around it. It's just a really, really small. It's only like the Vegas Strip and a few outlying neighborhoods. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to talk about. It's just it's New Vegas. It's good.
New Vegas was great. Probably like as I said, my second most favorite Fallout of them all. Definitely my favorite one from the newer ones.
And at least they didn't bring back the mutants as villains again. They're there, but they've progressed again. You've got 2 factions of mutants. You've got Marcus back from Fallout 2 in Jacobstown. Got the name right that time. And you've got another subsection, breakaway section of mutants who are going back to, like, making mutants great again, I guess.
Tabitha's army of elite gentlemen.
Yeah.
Melchior's pets.
you've got the Enclave. The Enclave have done a bit of progression now. Remnants from Fallout 2 are there, and they're just old blokes now at this point because it's been, you know, decades on from Fallout 2, and they're like, all right, we did some bad things maybe, but you know, back then we really thought we were fighting for something, but whatever, we're happy enough. We're just kind of living our lives now. But you have actually a chance to recruit them.
Yeah.
And you get that freaky looking armor back again, and it's awesome.
I mean, they feel organic.
Yeah.
Everything, it feels, it's not just, we used to be the evil people, it's just really human. It's the the whole thing with the Enclave Remnants is probably the most one of the most human parts of New Vegas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, being able to admit, in like their old age, how, like, you know, flawed the Enclave used to be in that, and just seeing how, like, especially how one of the old blokes reacts because the NCR's trying to get his farm, to get his house off of their farm, whatever it is.
In before Nuremberg defense.
Yeah. I haven't even talked about companions there, just talking about the remnants. I love the companions in New Vegas.
I'll be honest, I never used any.
You never used any?
I preferred playing New Vegas strictly just as the lone courier.
Fair enough. I just love the
felt
companions. Ganon, Veronica, favourites. You got Boone,
You know,
who's Tycho 3.
Veronica the fisting lady was pretty funny.
Veronica,
I
the
admit that.
fisting lady. Yep. Love of my life.
Woman.
Would be.
You got what? Cassidy. Cassidy
Drunk.
2. Not Tycho 4. This is actually Cassidy from Fallout.
That's
This
a
is
fucking long name.
no, we're getting confused. I'm saying Cassidy from Fallout 2 was Tycho 2. Boone in New Vegas is Tycho 4. Cassidy in New Vegas is Cassidy 2.
But not Tycho 4.
But not Tycho 5. Because she's actually Tycho 2, aka Cassidy 1's daughter.
You actually lost me.
She's got boobs. So, okay, moving
Yeah,
on.
I figured.
Well, you might as well have just said woman.
Woman.
Today.
Well, you got Lily, the Nightkin schizophrenic, who was kind of
Oh
weird.
shit.
I could do
Oh,
without,
that,
to be honest.
I hated that NPC so much. Oh my god.
And Raul, I forgot. The Mexican ghoul. Raul, the Mexican ghoul.
Raoul and Arcade were my favourite.
Yeah, and yeah, just speaking of like good memories and experiences in the game, just having the unlimited followers mod, having all of them in power armor, attacking the fort, and then punching Caesar to death.
Speaking of which, was Harold in Fallout New Vegas?
No, he was in Fallout 3. We
Oh yeah, right.
actually
He
missed
was like
over
was he
that.
completely
He was a
opposite end
tree
of
in
the
Fallout
spectrum.
3.
Yeah, right. I remember.
Harold
Wait,
became
where's
Herbert or Bob.
where's Fallout New Vegas put on a timescale relative to Fallout 3?
Oh, it's after. It's 9 years after.
Oh, okay. Too bad.
I think 9 years.
I miss Harold.
The games are always in order. There's never been a prequel. Anyway, I think I'm kind of tired out on New Vegas now.
Yeah.
There's kind of one of those games. There's too much to talk about, and there's not really like a linear necessarily thing to go through. It's just sort of
Yeah.
like there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. Yeah, it's good though. I
does that-
like it.
Does that mean we're getting to the fun part now?
Yep,
Oh.
we're done. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah,
No,
goodbye.
no,
We're not
no.
talking about the last
Ah.
one.
Fallout.
Brotherhood of Steel 2. So they made it much better this time.
Exodus.
All right, Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Biggest disappointment.
I didn't want to
of
talk
my
anymore.
life.
I've talked way too much. Ben, you take this one.
Are you sure about this one, my
Just go.
friend?
Just go.
please,
Just go.
Okay. So,
For God's
for,
sake, it's
for,
not much to
for,
take
for
it.
it literally starts. I mean, the beginning is super fucking cool. Like the whole, it's pre-war, and the nukes are literally coming down at the start.
That's the
that
day
was,
of the war. Yeah.
That was great. That was great. The whole thing of okay, quickly get into the vault. And you see the nuke go off in the distance, and like the wave washes over
the
you
day
as
of
you
the
go
war,
down the
yeah.
elevator. So the beginning is good, but then you're like, Yeah.
is
But-
the most emotional, I think, Fallout's ever been. The most dramatic. And it's cool.
Yeah, dramatic, yes. Emotional, no, because I had no chance to build an emotional bond to any of my family.
Oh, it's not so much to your family, it's more just to, you know, the world.
Emotional bonds to
I
your
guess.
pigeon Sean.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I bought a game that says Fallout, so I'm not really emotional about the old world.
It was just
blowing
cool
up because
seeing it for the first time properly.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing it. Anyway, as I said, like you have no time to bond with your actual
Very
family,
Your pigeon Sean.
so you kind of get frozen across from your wife
Or
leaving her, your
husband.
child.
We are.
husband,
we
I'm
are
sorry.
Equal opportunity.
I'm not a
sole
misogynist,
survivor
I
here.
swear. Yeah, and then your wife gets shot and your son gets stolen, and you're like, your wife or husband gets shot. And you're like, should I have cared? Because I surely
So my son's
didn't.
been kidnapped. What should I do? Let's go build a settlement.
Yeah, because another settlement needs your fucking help.
So yeah, there's your
Yeah.
lost item you need to go recover. You leave the vault.
Exactly, there's your gag,
because your
there's your
son's
water
been
chip.
kidnapped. And that introduces
The gag is
you
your water
to the
chip.
larger conflicts of the world, which is...
Do I have
Yes,
to?
you do.
No, you do it. Sam, do it.
Just do it! Just walk through it!
Just walk fucking through it!
So run me over it. Again. Okay. So the massive conflict isn't the Institute, isn't it?
It's over synths.
Okay, it's simps.
Yeah.
Simps are basically Terminators, you know. Fucking Terminators. with
I mean,
silly
they
So
are.
Fallout 3 introduced this idea in a side quest where somebody in Rivet City is actually not a person but an android who escaped essentially slavery from up north in the Commonwealth by these people called the Institute. You find all this out in Fallout 3, so it introduces it back then. So I think it's quite cool that it's making, you know...
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't actually know
yeah,
that. Oh, I forgot about it.
I'm not gonna. Okay, in case anyone doesn't know, I won't bloody reveal who it is and all that. But yeah, somebody in Rivet City is an android, so it's cool that they're bringing that back and making that sort of the
And
story.
it's in the most literal, dehumanising, everyone's just big robo-man way.
Yeah. So there's this group called the Institute who are sort of the boogeymen of the Commonwealth at this point in history, and yeah, everyone's kind of afraid of them because people are disappearing and there's like androids being left in their place and all this sort of things happening, and just sort of, I should have realised it before, but I just realised it here. Why the fuck are the Institute doing that anyway? Why are they
Science!
replacing people? Like they're when you eventually find them, they're sort of like, hey, we're
Science!
just trying to continue humanity and make sure we survive. Okay, but why are you murdering like townspeople and replacing them? Like, for what benefit you're getting from that, you fucking psychopaths?
I mean,
So
science.
for science. Okay then. So yeah, Brotherhood of Steel show up in a big blimp, and they're like, "But synths are evil."
That was cool as
Simplify.
shit. Like
No,
the fucking
wrong one.
the
Ad
blimp.
Victoriam.
The blimp was fucking cool as shit.
And it's basically just this conflict between the main factions, who are the Brotherhood, who want to destroy synths because they're an abomination and they'll ultimately replace humanity, and that makes them the greatest threat to humanity. You got the Institute, who just wants to ensure the humanity's survival and that we can actually continue by, you know, creating artificial humans. And then you've got the Railroad, who think that what Institute's doing is actually slavery and they're trying to free fucking synths.
Synth.
You also have a fourth faction, but they mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing, and yet they're the one you're forced to join. They're the one you're pressured into joining. If you want to build settlements, which is a big part of the game now, you have to be Minutemen.
Another settlement needs
Another settlement needs your help.
Another settlement needs your help. Another settlement needs your help. Another fucking settlement needs your help.
Yeah, the Minutemen, just a bunch of
Ah!
dorks, really.
Just door.
Just a bunch of dorks. So yeah, there's your conflict. And I don't really know if I hate the conflict. I think it's fine. I think it's just part of me sort of like, the Enclave are cool, but all this other stuff. But you know, I like the idea. I like the idea. I guess I'm glad they didn't go back to fucking Enclave because of the same reason I've complained about already. You'd just be rehashing. I guess it's fine. I just don't think they didn't pull it off very well. Really, like.
It needed a few extra.
It seemed very forced. It's like the thing is that okay, so in the first two Fallouts, you had clear antagonists that still had their goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Fallout 3, you had a clear antagonist that didn't really have a goal.
Mm-hmm. And now you have not very clear antagonists who don't really have clear goals.
Now you don't have an antagonist that doesn't have a goal.
That's a pretty good way of summarising it, actually, Ben.
There's no antagonist in Fallout 4.
No. Which, on the one hand, is like, oh, cool, you've made it all, like, grey and sort of morally ambiguous, but it kind of just makes it confusing about motivations and kind of really, who the hell am I supposed to side? I really found it difficult figuring out who to side with. And in the end, I accidentally sided with the Minutemen because there was no indication that I was really making a decision at the point. It screwed me into siding with the shittiest faction.
It doesn't matter who you side with, that's the thing, because obviously there's no clear antagonist and there's no clear protagonist for all that matters. So simply what happens, no matter who you side with, is you get a similar ending anyway.
The worst bit is, for me, this is probably going to be the weirdest one of them all. I lost all motivation as soon as, spoilers, I killed Kellogg. As soon as I killed Kellogg, I was like...
Yeah, the man who kidnaps your
I've got
kid.
it out of my system now. You know, it's just sort of... shite.
The first time I positively rage quit the game and didn't touch it for about 4 months was when I found out spoilers. It's like,
Okay, so if people want to know what the big plot twist is, if not, skip forward about 37 seconds, if you haven't already. So, yeah, it turns out when your son got kidnapped, you were frozen again for another 60 years afterwards, and your son is actually the leader of the Institute, and he doesn't give a fuck about the fact that your wife got killed or the fact that he's kind of been trying to kill you all this time. And, again, motivations are not clear.
I'm just, like... Fallout 4 is a good game. It's definitely a good shooter.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's the best of the 3 modern ones. It's the way improved on the shooting.
Please give me back my choice. Give me back my choice and give me back actual morality. Because if you don't have, like, it's cool that all the morale is grey in the game, right? Like, there's no real right or wrong.
It just doesn't leave me with any... It doesn't satisfy me in any way like New Vegas does. When I'm killing Legion, I feel fucking
it just
fine.
Feels like
when I kill Caesar,
towards any faction, so you don't feel like you achieve anything.
I get nothing like that. I get nothing. I feel bad no matter what I do in Fallout 4.
Any ramifications?
Is that what they wanted me? Is that what they wanted? Maybe. I don't know.
I think I just completely lagged out. Jesus. Well, that's fine. You'll have the monologue though. No, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's ramifications to whatever I do in Fallout 4.
I don't feel like we're going on as much of a rant as we could about Fallout 4, really.
Oh, I haven't started yet. I haven't arrived at gameplay.
Why? Do you want to rant more?
I haven't arrived at gameplay. Like, basically my only real big problem with Fallout 4 is the fact that there's like 4 dialogue choices. There is... ask question about ask question about thing, ask another question about thing.
Let's
yes and fuck you, but yes.
So things they've changed from previous games. We'll go with that since we've kind of started. The character customization is good.
I don't like the leveling system. Like building a character. The
leveling system.
Thing,
okay, no, I don't like that either.
That's fucking amazing.
I do not like there's no way of making a class in any way. The special stats don't work the same way they do. So in the end, every character you make kind of becomes the same goddamn thing. kind of an all-around.
I mean, your special doesn't fucking matter because you can just skill him later on.
No. Exactly. In the end, your special just becomes like all around the same. So you're just Whereas I like to start a new game like I'm going to be a sniper, or I'm going to be a gunslinger, or I'm going to be a heavy weapons power armor dude.
Submission with my
This game doesn't let you do that. If you want to be a power armor dude all the time, guess what? Power armor costs fuel, so it's only a one-time, well, not a one-time thing, but it's an occasional time thing. It's not something you're really encouraged to use.
Keep in mind
Wander
that power armor costs fuel, but fast traveling in it doesn't.
Is it not? I thought it did.
I'm pretty sure it didn't when I played it. It's a while back, but it didn't cost any fuel to fast travel in it, so what reason do I have to not always wear power armor?
Mm-hmm.
You know? I like the idea with the whole, like, exoskeleton suit power armor. That was great.
Oh yeah, like, that's, like I said that sort of earlier. It makes it look a lot more like it did in the originals, whereas 3 in New Vegas, just, heavy armor. Slightly thick normal armor.
Also the fact that you could customize it, like paint, like all the customization, like painting on it and like customizing your guns.
Oh yeah. Like customization all around. Character customization, weapon, armors, settlement. I know settlement building has issues, but whatever.
I built like one and I was sick of it.
Yeah.
And then I built a huge fucking, like there was the car cinema thing,
you try
right?
And build like a mansion or something?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I built a mansion on that. I'm pretty sure it was like Sam was watching me do it.
And that's where Fallout
like,
4 peaked.
Yeah. It's like, as I said, it's not a bad game. I just didn't enjoy it half as much as I wish I had.
I mean, I was saying this, but it never really ended in a way that ever felt satisfying. And there's no real clear sides, there's no real clear motivations. Like, what did Fallout 1 have? The Master and Lou, a big end boss. Yes, they were clearly evil, but they also had reasons, but they were also still a boss. So, all around cool. Frank Oregon, Fallout 2. Fallout 3 we've already criticised for not having a sufficient one. We didn't really talk about New Vegas, but we had Legate Lanius, who's the Caesar's Legion main man, essentially.
Who's actually the NCR equivalent of that?
Colonel...
Because I never sided with that.
No, General Oliver.
Okay. Because...
Which actually has... He himself ain't really tough, but to get to him, if you go against NCR, as Legion anyway, you actually have to go through a whole complex of like traps and things and fight his elite rangers. So, he's still got sort of a boss fight in his own way.
Like, there's a procedure to getting to him.
Yeah. There's not in Fallout 4.
I mean,
I've done
there's
it
cool
as...
hidden bosses, though.
Who have I done it as? I've done it as Brotherhood, I've done it as Minutemen accidentally. Both were the same. You go into the Institute, you blow it up. You basically just massacre a bunch of scientists and then you nuke the place.
Well, that's dissatisfying.
If you go against the Brotherhood, you might, I think you bring down the blimp, but I don't think there's really like a end character. I guess you fight Maxon, the leader, at some point, maybe.
I mean, it basically would...
Like I said, no matter what you do, you feel like a
if
dick.
anything big changes, it's literally only going to happen if you side with the Institute.
Yeah. Which, if I ever do play it again...
Yeah,
sure
I probably will if I play it ever again.
I might do Institute. You
Just
will
because
or
I'm
won't.
intrigued as to what will change.
What did you say?
But yeah, it's like...
Ben.
Yes.
I think, Ben, you're fucking up.
I was legging out again. Well, rip.
Yeah. So I was asking, I didn't hear if you said you will or won't ever play it again.
If I ever will, I'll side with the Institute, but... I'm not too sure yet.
Because they have synth gorillas. Gorillas!
I mean, I'll only side with them under the one condition that they don't make synth spiders.
Oh. Why would they even? Nuke them
You get
motherfuckers. Synth spiders.
Like, I
So Sam, you've been quite quiet, surprisingly. You're the person I think
okay.
hates most.
I tried to give Fallout 4 another chance because it disappointed me. Because I personally feel like if you look on the internet, you see a lot of these really big, like reviews for the game, like 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, like at the least. It was a game reviewed purely on the hype alone. Like it wasn't a game that,
because Bethesda can do that.
Can get away with that. No other company can. They can get away with that because it was Fallout 4. They had people in a vulnerable position, and they could get away with it. And I tried to play the game recently. Stephen knows this. I tried to play the game again, and I couldn't get into it for the life of me.
You did a good shot. You played it quite a bit, and I was asking like how you enjoying it, and you were like, "Yeah,
I'm
liking it more this time around."
That time round, but then you
haven't played it
Kellogg,
since.
you fuck Kellogg, and then you just sort of it goes back to being limp again, really, and it's like, all right. Everyone sounds like they're from Boston. It's really forced.
I don't like the setting. It doesn't feel very Fallout-y. The setting, the game in general, the conflicts, the factions.
So I was watching an analysis the other day, and the reason why it just doesn't feel like a Fallout game is because everything is too intact. Just like when you walk around like residential areas, there's like grills that are in perfect condition. You know?
You think that has a major impact?
I actually think that has a major
subliminal
effect on like how you view the game.
I wonder if I was to play the game with a mod that dusts it up and makes it a bit more arid and a bit more desert-like and dirties up the textures a bit. 'Cause I know what you mean. A lot of things are a bit too clean.
It's probably gonna feel a lot more like Fallout if you do.
I wonder. It's very possible.
But again, like...
But that's only gonna fix one thing, like... game itself still has a lot of other issues we've talked about.
Every Fallout does. That's the thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that... Like, I have always been, like, one of the most firm critics of Fallout 4. I have been very outspoken about how much I despise that game. But I'm pretty sure I'm just not giving it enough credit for the things it does very fucking well. Like the gunplay. The gunplay is super fucking good.
I mean, it's hard to kind of pinpoint what doesn't work. Because believe me, like, people are probably thinking if they're watching this that I'm just hating on it because, or we're all just hating on it because, you know, it's the popular thing to do.
No,
everyone hates on it now, don't
I had this opinion on release.
Not that. I mean, look, go back to my top 10 2016 games. Is that the right year? And it was my number 1. I loved this game for a while. When it first came out.
Fair enough.
Sorry,
yeah,
Sam,
like,
you saying?
know, the initial impressions were all hype based. That's why it's not because it's the popular thing to do. It's because people opened their eyes a bit. They sort of took off those goggles of, oh yeah, it's a new Fallout game, and they actually decided to play the game, and they realised what they were seeing.
Well, I think when I was playing it, I was probably, when I was reviewing it, when I was formulating a lot of my opinions on it, I was still playing the game, and a lot of my positive stuff was like, oh, I can't wait for what happens next, I can't wait to find out what happens, you know, and I was like looking forward to, oh, I wonder what DLC they'll do, and how much it'll expand, and how much better the game's going to become. And none of that ever materialised. The ending wasn't really satisfying. The DLC, don't fucking get me started on that. Worst DLC, which has actually put me off ever getting season passes again. I won't. I've done the season passes. I really shouldn't fucking in the first place.
So, Sam.
Yep.
Just
Sam,
and the replayability just isn't up there either.
Can I just ask you something about Fallout 4 here?
Go on.
Do you think you dislike the game as much as you do because ever since Fallout 3, they have been watering down what made Fallout 1 and 2 so great?
I feel like they've been... Again, because it's not fair, because Skyrim, like, there's a lot of engine similarities, I guess, but it feels like a good roleplay game. But whenever they touch Fallout, it feels like they purposely try and water it down.
I mean, it's like a good role-playing game is made by writing, not by engine.
Yeah. and I feel like they don't know what they're. I feel like they're really winging it whenever it comes to.
Yeah, like
It
the
feels
difference.
like
there's,
let's put out something because of the license.
there's a massive fucking difference between writing a fantasy RPG and a post-apocalyptic RPG. That difference is massive. Like, I tried to like write short stories for a while, and I'm telling you, writing fantasy is a lot easier because it's way easier to like make convincing characters in fantasy than it is in post-apocalypse. Because post-apocalyptic characters always need to have a back thought, like another thought in the back of their head that they're actually chasing. Because it's like it's an elbow society. It's a fight for survival.
Okay.
You know, it's like a post-apocalyptic scenario always needs way deeper characters, which probably is why Force 4 characters seem so shallow when in comparison to Skyrim they probably even aren't.
I wouldn't say Skyrim's characters are particularly its selling point
Yeah, but
by any means. I would put it towards, unless you have any more to sort of elaborate on there about characters. If you do, I'd be interested to hear actually.
I mean, depends on what you want to hear. Like, most of the characters for seem fairly shallow, but to be fair, a lot of them have quite a bit of backstory.
I will give Fallout 4 this, and I've went on about it to death now in personal conversations with you, Stephen, but I've really liked the character of Kellogg, and I really want them to see what else they did with him. The story kills him off so fucking quickly.
Oh my god,
He
I'm
was
sure I've had this
such an
conversation with you.
interesting character.
I think introducing him, actually come to think of it, he was the Horrigan. He's the Frank fucking Horrigan in that game. And yet they just sweep him away when they realize, oh wait, no, he's kind of done everything he needs to for the plot.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Kellogg is slightly old at the point when you actually find him, so...
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, I almost feel like I wonder what the writing process was here. He kidnaps the son, and they introduce a kind of intimidating villain, and then it turns out the 60... spoilers again, 30 seconds. The 60-year gap happens, and he's still around. And how is he still around? Oh, I don't know. Fucking science magic makes him look young when he's old. And he's dead now, so don't worry about it. The end.
I blanked out on most of what I fucking learned about Fallout 4 when playing it. But why exactly was your son kidnapped?
Because to make androids to replicate properly, they needed a human template, and the humans of the wasteland were already contaminated, so they needed a pure human. And the best example they could have was a Vault 101, where they were literally cryo-frozen pre-war people. I think that's why.
Then they take a child. A baby.
Yeah, they thought taking a child away... kind of dumb, actually, because they could just, like, open the vault and be like, hey, guy who's old enough to make his own decisions, fancy helping out humanity. But no, I think they thought, like, taking a child would, like, well, they won't remember their parents, so it's kind of the humane thing to do. Shoot the mum, though.
It's like, I'm pretty sure they just took the child just so you have a reason to play the game.
Oh yeah, which is why I think it was the writing process. Right, you need to leave the vault for something. What will it be? Let's make it their son. Alright then. And then, how does he get kidnapped? By this guy. He'll be the villain. Alright, that's cool. Further down the line, oh, actually, 60 years have passed, so that makes it like a big twist. Wait a minute, what about the guy who kidnapped him? Oh,
to be fair,
science makes him young.
That's probably how the writing went, and that's the reason why there's, like, so little emphasis on trying to bond with your family. Because the original idea was, okay, you go to the vault, you're being frozen, but how do we get, like, what's the motivation for leaving the vault? Let's make it your child, and then they integrate the family afterwards, and there's, like, no time going into it.
Like, personal opinion, I think it would have been better if your husband or wife was a companion character you could get later. Like, if we continued our Fallout 4 playthrough and mod or something. That's something I'd actually want to do. I would want Vic to eventually find that cure for bullets he was looking for, and then have a fucking and then just have Margaret be
mainly
a
because I want to
fucking
see Vic in
companion.
a doctor's outfit now. Like, we have the technology to rebuild.
Because imagine the two of them, like imagine the two of them both coming out from their like pre-war life in suburbia, both having to survive, and they can like bounce off each other the sort of thoughts and feelings and opinions and how to
Also,
survive and all that, rather than like you, especially if you can customize your fucking husband or wife and then they just get killed anyway. So
there's
just an
a
idea.
great
it's not going to fix the game,
great
but
opportunity,
just a little thought.
a really great opportunity for making like an amazing character dynamic that Bethesda would probably just piss down the drain anyway.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
I mean, all that would require is them not to get shot fatally.
Yeah.
Or something. Maybe you can, come back for them later.
Just
somehow.
use another stim pack. From
Yeah. Well, you don't have stim packs at that point, so you'd have to come back
Probably
to the vault
start
later on.
in other Fallout games, I learned stim packs cure bullet wounds. So
Yeah.
right.
And I was going to say, like, the thing that I would pinpoint as possibly one of my biggest complaints with Fallout 4, in terms of watering down from the previous games, is, and I already sort of talked about class earlier on, but Fallout 1, you go in and you make a character, and you go through your special stats, and it's very personalised, and it actually really has an impact on how you play the game and what to do.
Yeah.
In Fallout 4, that's completely torn away. And Sam, you were talking about like how Skyrim is okay, and you don't have a problem with Skyrim. Even in that, even though it is a watered down version of Oblivion, which is a watered down version of Morrowind, you've still got definite defined classes there. You don't tend to just become this middle of the road magic, sword, heavy, medium armor archer in Skyrim. You do tend towards one particular thing, don't you? Which Fallout 4, I don't think really.
Well, you have
happens.
like an archetype.
And that takes away the role playing element a lot more.
Yeah, that and the combination of yes or fuck
And
you, but
and
yes.
that's why every game you play of it feels the fucking same, because there's no this time I'm going to be X. It's just this time I'm going to replay the game with a bigger nose on my character.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I give Fallout 4 too much shit.
I don't think I do, but, you know.
I might just have to give it another chance, to be honest.
Ben, do what I did, give it another chance, and realise that you were the hero all along.
You were
Right,
the diamond
but
we invested in. I've played it
like-
a lot, by the way. I've completed it once in my original playthrough. I've played it as much as I have for this channel here as Vic, and I've played it even more so on another character. I got to fucking high level, 60 odd or 70 odd, right? I don't even fucking remember anymore. Where I was playing the DLC until I eventually
Have you
got
ever
bored of Nuka
explained,
World.
to be a bit, open up to the people, have we ever actually explained why we just stopped making Fallout 4 videos?
The same reasons why we're criticising Fallout 4 here, because I just lost interest in the game. That's why.
But can I just like ask the two of you for like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's Fallout 4 for you?
Oh, well, okay. If we're done, we've talked about all the games now, so we could start rating.
Can do.
But you're just asking like, are you just asking for like a top 10, 10
yeah, I'm
rating
just asking
of
for
Fallout 4
1 out
on
of
its
10
own?
rating. Like what?
Okay, so what's a 10 game? A 10 game
A
is your
10
favorite
game is what would be Half-Life 2 to you.
Yeah. Or like the Mass Effect trilogy all combined into one minus the
Exactly.
ending. Yeah. And a one game
big
is
rigs over the
fucking...
road race.
Snake. Multiplayer Snake is a 1.
That's fucking amazing. That's a goddamn 9 out of 10.
Like,
Goddamn.
you get me. Like,
I don't even know what I want.
One
out of
is
10 but
for-
bad,
One
bad.
is Costa Rican Boat Guard as DLC
5.
for Fallout 4.
And 5 is your most
Yeah.
middle of the road
5 is
game.
like 5 is a game that you finish and you're like,
Honestly, 5's probably something like, I don't know, Call of Duty
Yeah.
Black Ops.
I mean, it's
you know. It's a game I have,
yeah,
it's fine,
a game you play and when you finish it you're like,
but it's, yeah.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Black Ops. Okay, that's a good metric.
I'd say Fallout 4.
Hmm.
Being fair is probably either a 5.5 or a 6, and
Actually, this makes it a problem because I'm nowhere near. I definitely enjoyed it more than Black Ops.
again, this is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either a 5.5 or a 6, and that still disappoints me because Fallout 4 should have been so much more. It should have been so, like, especially when I consider all the other Fallout games I've played on like an 8 at the least. It shouldn't have been an above average. It should have been so much more. But
So basically, you just don't like Fallout 4 because it disappointed your expectations.
it's just mediocre, Ben. It's just not.
It really isn't. It's a decent game. It's like
I'm
like
yeah. I think I can't give it a low
I'm not
rating for
giving it
how
a low
much time
rating,
I
I'm
have
giving it an
put into
above
it.
average rating.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm talking about myself here. I'm talking about myself. So it's definitely above average, but I'm kind of thinking, where would I put New Vegas? New Vegas is a 9 for me, a high 9.
With that.
2 is a 9. 1 is an 8. 3 is a 7. Who would I put 4? 4's Tactics is a 2. 4 is a low 7. I think that's fair. About more than a 6, but no more than a 7. Anyway.
Yeah, because
6 is above average for me. That's
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think that Fallout 4 it has similar problems as a lot of RPGs do, where the storytelling is but the gameplay is actually really fucking good. So I can't just go and like discredit the entire game just because I expected a better story from a Fallout game. I'd give it like a 7 actually, because the gameplay is really fucking solid, and that's literally what you deal with 99% of the time playing the game is the gameplay. I personally just like my personal enjoyment is probably like a 3, but the game gets.
if you had to
from
rank the game itself, completely taken away my views, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. But just say my enjoyment, it was just an above average experience. It was an experience, but it wasn't really much. Which I should have got more.
we are actually a lot more.
I mean, it's
actually a lot more positive.
Compared to Skyrim, I like Skyrim a lot better. Compared to New Vegas and 3, certainly New Vegas, I enjoyed a lot better. So, just compared to the other games sort of immediately around it that it can be compared to, you know, it just doesn't have the same replayability, which I think is a major fucking issue with it.
I'm gonna say this now, because people instantly think, you know, if you've managed to watch it this far, people seem to think that just because someone states their opinion, that they're saying that their opinion is fact. If you enjoyed Fallout 4 a lot, that is completely fine. But if to you it was 10
I mean,
out of
I'm just
10
gonna
game
point
of the year,
out
that is completely fine.
I've had this conversation, not quite 3 hours and 9 minutes and 12 seconds long conversion of this conversation with Lily, Mary, before, and she likes Fallout 4 more than Fallout 3, which is, she's played 1, 3, and 4, and she likes 4 the most, but that's because it was the first one she's properly played, so it kind of is a, what's your first introduction? Which one do you first get into? What are you used to? And that's going to temper your expectations one way or another.
That's a massive point, actually.
So, if you like Fallout 4 the most, if you think it's the best game of the series, or the best game in general, we're not shitting on you, you know, more power to you. And I really don't even see why this needs to be pointed out.
It's a completely valid opinion.
Honest,
like, tastes are different, and if you enjoyed Fallout 4 for what it was, then fine, that's cool.
Yeah. We're coming at it from an angle of being a bunch of highly critical, cynical Fallout fanboys.
I'm an old man that started playing the
olden
games on the olden times on an old Windows 98.
I'm probably the easiest on it. and I gave it a 7. Ben came in here fucking spoiling for a goddamn fight with the game before we started this video,
But, like-
and he
like,
gave it
I
a
had
7.
3 hours.
Sam gave it a 6
I had
or a
3
7.
hours to think about the whole thing, and I actually realized that
Yeah.
I'm giving Fallout 4 way too much shit for what it actually is.
I'm still confident.
It's
in
still
my
a good game. It's just not a good Fallout game. By comparing a lot of the things we've talked about through all the rest of the franchise, it's still better than Tactics. You can have
Anything is
that.
better than Tactics. Me going to have a wank is better than Tactics.
But you going on
Well, that's
whatever
better than
it
most
was,
things,
was better than Tactics. Yeah, I just
Yeah, just
okay,
pointing
shall
that
we,
out.
Shall we
This
get
whole
to
caveat here.
putting the Fallout games in our order? Because this is what I've been curious.
Most certainly. Who wants to go first?
Ben.
I'll go first. Okay. 2 New Vegas. 1, 3, 4. The other 2.
The other two. Order of the other two?
Definitely Tactics over Brotherhood of Steel. But yeah, 2 best game
Maybe.
of all time. I'll probably play it again tonight. Number 2 is New Vegas, simply because it felt like an old Fallout without feeling old. If that makes
Without
sense.
reminding you you're an old man.
Yeah. Then 1, simply for the nostalgia and the entire feel to it. 3, it's like the most mediocre one to me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything great to me. And then obviously 4, as I said. And then there's like 2 more games that I don't talk about. It's definitely Tactics. It's Tactics over Brotherhood, though.
Right. I've gave this a lot of thought, and I'm gonna probably go 2 over New Vegas.
Okay.
I just when I just think about it more, there's just a certain fondness that I can't describe for the other that I just have for Fallout 2 that I don't have for the other games. Fuck. And then and then New Vegas. But then I don't know, because sometimes I do think of 1 and 3 as very similar. So sometimes I'm like, should I put 1 or 3? But 1 is just so much better. And then for a controversial ending, I'm gonna have a tie between 3 and 4.
Okay. Well, kind of feel we're all more or less banging the same fucking drum at this point. But this has been my order for pretty much ever. Well, not forever, but a while before this video anyway. That I've been thinking about for the last few weeks. Still, New Vegas is number 1 for me. I love the gameplay. I love the replayability. So yeah, it's one of my favorite games overall. 2 is close behind it. I love the story. I love the adventure of it. I like the companions. I should again point out I've only ever played it with the restoration patch, which helps. There's so much stuff to do.
To be fair, the restoration patch doesn't
that.
change too much of the game as to not make it Fallout 2 anymore.
No, it's still Fallout 2, but I just add that in. Third one is probably Fallout 1, because there's less about it that annoys me than Fallout 3. It can almost be the kind of game that I could play on my phone. It's very short and sweet. Like I said, it's a game that you have indeed. It's one that I could play in a day. There's not really anything to complain about it. It's good. I like Fallout 1. And Fallout 3 is close behind it. I'd almost put 1 and 3 together. Actually, you said the exact same thing, Sam. 3, it was the first one I played. It has not aged quite so well. It's almost one that I can get bored of quite easily, but it's still, I don't know. It's definitely one that I would play with the Tale of Two Wastelands mod, which is when I'm playing New Vegas, but you play through Fallout 3 first. That's how I play 3 now, and how I have for years. Then 4, I kind of talked that quite a bit to death at this point. It's fine. It's just it's not my favorite. Then Tactics, though, brother.
At least you put Tactics over Brotherhood of Steel.
Well, I've only ever played Tactics. I've never played
Again,
Brotherhood
like
of Steel,
Tactics
so.
at least has some gameplay.
Does Brotherhood of Steel have hairy death claws?
I don't remember, but I know it has terrible platforming.
Oh no.
For fuck's sake, Sam.
Sam just keeps sending me
Yeah.
this fucking Kane character
That's
from
all
Brotherhood of Steel. It's so ugly.
That face just says,
Yeah, it's
"All right,
like-
son, have you got any steaks to give me before I go to the gym?"
It's like,
Oh my.
yeah, I mean, definitely,
So, yeah.
like Fallout for 20 years now. It's all like the series is almost as old as me, so it's been a ride. We had our ups and downs.
And where will it go next?
I hope upwards.
I mean, I'm not going to spend fucking another half an hour
Yeah,
speculating
no.
on shit, but just a quick, like, what are your hopes for future games?
I'm hoping.
Main. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm hoping for the license to gracefully fall in the hands of a loving Obsidian who will take care of it and nurture it and make it grow into something far more powerful.
More powerful.
Like the only thing I really hope for is, from Fallout 4 standpoint, fix the dialogue system. Like give me actual dialogue choice.
Yeah.
And
Bring back a lot of the RPG
bring
elements
back
that have been
like
trimmed away.
skills and skilling.
It's
Like give me back number
I
crunching.
want to spend money on your games. I want those happy endorphins to be activated and let me get absorbed into the world. That's what I want.
Yeah. What's your?
Any idea for locations?
I mean,
Bring it back west? Or
I'm
are you
still
not too
hoping. I'm still
attached?
hoping to like see some post-apocalyptic Europe at some point, or maybe even Russia.
I've kind of considered, like, people have suggested, like, Fallout in the UK. I don't think you could have a whole game there, but as DLC, there's
Yeah.
definitely stuff you could do with that. I like, because if you're going to play with this sort of 50s, 60s American idealism, you could do the same 50s sort of post-war Britain, you know, 50s,
I mean,
60s sort of. There's a lot of fucking stylized things you could have
Like
going
Germany
on
would
there.
be.
And the difference in
Germany would be
technology.
super interesting, but I don't know. It probably looked like a post-apocalyptic wasteland in the 50s anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Fallout Detroit.
Detroit
Yeah.
these days looks a lot worse than Fallout 4 in places.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to go back west and
Yeah.
see some more NCR
like-
stuff, but again, I'm almost at this point kind of worried that are even my hopes and wishes just going to start becoming rehashy just because nostalgia's
Like-
sake. Like, there was a time that I was sort of like, hey, give me a Enclave back. Enclave are cool, but really,
I
no,
just
no,
want
we
to
don't
see
want
the
that.
NCR grow. Like
Something
I wanna see that child that I saved playing Fallout 1, saving Tandy from the fucking cons. I want that child to get big, you know? Like I have investment in the NCR.
Maybe we could set it sort of around that part of the world again, be in another state nearby where you're going to have a little bit of Legion influence, you're going to have a little bit of NCR, you still have, and obviously you want something new as well, you don't just want, and then the Brotherhood are there, and then these are there, and all this.
DLC.
We'll do
Great
Fallout
Cans.
Canada.
Is there a way to fully revive the series without it also coming across as either rehashy on one end or
Yeah,
too different
it's-
on the other?
You're always gonna upset somebody. That's just it's a given in the video game industry.
I think I'm more concerned about the RPG elements and the return to a lot of the old features from the other games, more so than
Yeah,
setting or plot, I guess.
Just make Fallout an RPG again. Because Fallout 4 was a shooter in the main line.
at the same time, if we're going to carry on the trajectory of having the games be set further and further in the future, we are getting further and further away from the post-apocalypse and more into the post-post-apocalypse, like I was saying. So it's kind of hard to really get back to that survival wasteland experience back in Fallout 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Fallout 1 was
But
really
there's-
in deep.
Which could either be really interesting if you do it right, sort of more about the rebuilding society, which is very much what was at the core of New Vegas. It was a game about rebuilding society and the future rather than post-society like the older games.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definite potential still there, but we've got to wait and see.
I'll just trust Bethesda to not fuck it up, to not make it worse. Which I doubt is gonna happen because 4 sold way too well.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh my god, it was the best-selling game, wasn't it? Which means, yeah, more
It's the best-selling game based on hype alone. I wouldn't. If I
Yeah, but that's our own fault for hyping it. You can't blame Bethesda for their game being hyped. They made a marketing campaign as they always would have. They had a similar marketing campaign to Skyrim. And just, you can't like give Fallout 4 more shit for being like a subpar-ish game just because it happened. It's the people's fault for getting hyped over something, buying it release day, and then realizing, oh shit, it's bad.
Yeah, it's far too easy these days to get on a hype train. It happens with
That's
everything.
why, like,
Star Wars
I don't buy
movies,
games on release anymore. I just
games.
I make sure to consume a lot of reviews before I buy anything.
Nah,
3.5 hours. So
that is true. So we're probably gonna finish up here then.
thank you for having me.
Oh, certainly. It has been too long since we really talked. Just the last couple of days we've been back in touch.
Let's Play confirmed.
Fallout 2 Let's Play confirmed!
Yeah. Wait, if Fallout 2 Let's Play is confirmed, does that also confirm Half-Life 3?
Okay, no, that's old meme.
Dead
meme.
about as dead as dead. As dead
Memes never die!
About as dead as Half-Life is in development. Hell.
So, next week, a 3.5-hour discussion on the ending of Mass Effect 3, and the week after that, a 3.5-hour discussion on the new Star Wars movie, why it's gonna suck. Join us next time. Yeah, this is gonna be a weekly segment.
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
not. It's a terrible idea.
I don't have the energy to do this every week, dude.
No, I do not.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching if anyone is still stuck around at this point, and thanks to the two of you for joining
Well, you are most
in.
welcome. Thanks for anybody who actually stuck around.
This is very fun.
Yeah, I imagine this. I do these kind of videos because this is exactly the sort of thing that I would have playing in the background while I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So I like to think there are some people in the world who are like me. So hope this entertained enough. Maybe encourage you if you haven't already to go try some of the original Fallouts. Maybe have that running while you listen to this.
Online Reloaded. We're not getting paid for this.
Just remember that. Bring rope when you go to the glow. You'll regret
Also
it.
bring
if you don't.
anti-red meds.
Okay. Yeah, that's a given. it's called the fucking glow.
Online Reloaded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, didn't even talk about that. Kind of lost. We're
We're done.
way
We're
past talking
3.5
about Fortnite.
hours in, dude. But
Okay, we're gonna go play some of that now.
Music.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye all.